Chapter 28:02. The girl glared at Lin E, feeling a little embarrassed. This was her first kiss, and she didn't expect to lose it here. However, although she was angry, she didn't forget what was happening in front of her. Although the Light of Five Evils was successfully activated, she didn't expect the Dragon of Five Evils to return to the cave early. She didn't know whether the inheritance was successful or not. Moreover, the most important thing now was how to successfully escape from here. Looking at the Dragon of Five Evils, it was obviously extremely angry. Its eyes had turned red, as if it was going to swallow someone. Be careful. The beautiful girl didn't have time to blame Lin E at this moment. She saw the Dragon of Five Evils spit out a fireball, which smashed right at Lin Yi's back. Boom! Lin E didn't have time to dodge, and was hit by the Dragon of Five Evils fireball. Suddenly, the skin on Lin Yi's back was torn open. This was even after Lin E heard the beautiful girl's reminder and quickly circulated the mantra to protect his body. Otherwise, even if Lin E didn't die, it would be hard for him to survive. Even so, Lin Yi's back was still hit until it caved in. If it was a normal cultivator, they probably wouldn't be able to survive. The beautiful girl also took advantage of this moment to climb up from under Lin Yi's body. She glanced at Lin E, and a trace of sympathy flashed in her eyes. Just now, when the Dragon of Five Evils suddenly activated its skill, if it wasn't for Lin E blocking in front of her, perhaps she wouldn't have been able to dodge it in a short time. Even if her strength was higher than Lin Yi's, and she wasn't beaten so badly, she probably wouldn't have been able to escape in a short time. Therefore, the beautiful girl's heart was still filled with gratitude towards Lin E. If it wasn't for him blocking, she would have been in danger today. Therefore, when Lin E forcefully kissed her before, the beautiful girl didn't have much resistance and dissatisfaction in her heart. At this time, the beautiful woman also put her palms together and formed a seal. She suddenly pushed them out, and a strange light shot out from her hands towards the Five Evils dragon. Lin E took this opportunity to quickly crawl to a safe place on the side. He quickly activated the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, preparing to heal his injuries. His injuries were too severe. If he didn't heal in time, he might die. When Lin E saw the beautiful woman going to fight the Five Evils dragon, he heaved a sigh of relief. However, at the same time, he suddenly felt that the martial technique that the beautiful woman had executed was somewhat familiar. However, because Lin E had hurriedly dodged to the side, he did not see it clearly. Moreover, Lin E was in a rush to recover from his injuries, so he did not have the time to think about it. Boom! The beautiful woman's martial skill exploded on the Five Evils dragon's body. The Five Evils dragon retreated 2 steps and roared furiously. Its voice was filled with rage. It seemed that the beautiful woman's martial skill had angered it, and the martial skill that she had used was most likely an ultimate martial skill. Roar! The Five Evils dragon had clearly lost its patience. Previously, it had only activated its martial skill. Perhaps it had the mentality of teaching the beautiful woman a lesson, but perhaps because the beautiful woman's martial skill was very powerful, it did not want to continue fighting with her. It stretched out its claws and clawed at the beautiful woman. Ah! The beautiful woman cried out in alarm. Even if she was a peak late-stage heaven-class expert, she was no match for the Five Evils dragon in terms of size and speed. She was instantly caught by the Five Evils dragon's claws, and the Five Evils dragon's nails directly pierced into the beautiful woman's chest. The beautiful woman's face immediately turned pale. It seemed that the Five Evils dragon had not used its full strength before. What happened afterwards had angered the Five Evils dragon, so it lost its patience and directly grabbed the beautiful woman. Although Lin E wanted to help, he could not even take care of himself right now. How could he have the time to save the beautiful woman? Moreover, even if he did save her, Lin E was no match for the Five Evils dragon. Even a peak late-stage heaven-class expert's martial skill was ineffective against the Five Evils dragon. How could Lin E defeat it? The Five Evils dragon was obviously not stupid. It grabbed the beautiful woman and went all the way to the entrance of the cave. It grabbed the beautiful woman's claw and spun it a few times in the air. Then it let go. The beautiful woman was like a cannonball. With a whoosh, she was thrown toward the back of the mountain and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The corner of Lin Yi's mouth twitched. At this moment, he realized that a peak late-stage heaven-class cultivator was helpless and insignificant in front of a powerful spiritual beast, especially in front of such a huge spiritual beast. Lin Yi finally understood why the trial map had specially marked this place as an extremely dangerous place. With the five evils dragon here, perhaps only a heavenly Tao expert could go against it. After the beautiful woman was thrown away, the five evils dragon turned around and walked step by step towards Lin Yi in the cave. Lin Yi's forehead instantly broke out in a cold sweat. However, there was nothing he could do at this moment. Not to mention that Lin Yi was heavily injured. Even if he was not, he would not be a match for the five evils dragon. If it was a blessing, it would not be a disaster. If it was a disaster, he could not avoid it. Lin Yi carried this kind of fearless attitude and continued to madly use the second level of the art of dragon mastery to heal his injuries. However, the five evils dragon had no intention of letting Lin Yi go. It reached out and grabbed Lin Yi. However, Lin Yi was luckier than the beautiful woman. The five evils dragon's nails did not pierce into Lin Yi's body. Then, the five evils dragon turned its body nimbly and grabbed Lin Yi, walking towards the entrance of the cave. It seemed that he was most likely going to end up like the beautiful woman and become a flying man. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and looked at Skybolt Pig, who was at the entrance of the cave. At this moment, this little fellow was saying something to the five evils dragon. However, the five evils dragon obviously had no intention of paying attention to him. It was annoyed by Skybolt Pig's words. It reached out and grabbed Skybolt Pig and Lin Yi together. Just like before, it swung its claws twice, and with a whoosh, it threw both Lin Yi and Skybolt Pig towards the back of the mountain. All Lin Yi could hear was the sound of the wind. He was flying towards the valley at the back of the mountain at an extremely fast speed. Lin Yi did not dare to slow down. Although the five evils dragon did not use any skills, its terrifying speed was already too much for Lin Yi to bear. If he did not use his true chi to protect his body, he would probably become a pile of minced meat. Skybolt Pig, be careful when you land later. Don't forget to use your true chi to protect your body. Otherwise, both of us will die. Lin Yi reminded as he flew. Gee, Skybolt Pig nodded. Chapter 28:03. Originally, Lin Yi was already severely injured. Now that he was thrown by the five evils dragon, he was forced into the space of the jade pendant. Lin Yi's injuries were too severe. At this moment, he couldn't care less about Skybolt Pig and the beautiful woman's injuries. Lin Yi could only heal his own injuries first. After entering the space of the jade pendant, Lin Yi quickly activated the second stage of the art of dragon mastery to heal his internal injuries. Time was always slow when it came to healing, especially when he was worried about Skybolt Pig and the girl's safety. All he could do was increase the speed of his practitioner's arts as fast as he could, to heal himself as fast as he could. However, what Lin Yi didn't expect was that the mental cultivation method was circulating faster and faster. It was like a speeding car that was out of control. It was getting faster and faster. It was so fast that it was frightening. Lin Yi quickly slowed down the circulation speed of the mental cultivation method. However, even though Lin Yi slowed down the circulation speed of the mental cultivation method, in reality, the circulation speed of the mental cultivation method did not slow down at all. Moreover, Lin Yi realized that the huge amount of vital energy in the space of the jade pendant was rushing into his body from all directions. This sudden change shocked Lin. What's going on? I just want to heal my injuries quickly. Why does it feel like I'm losing control of my mental cultivation method? Is this a sign of chi deviation? However, this feeling gave Lin Yi a familiar feeling. It seemed like he had experienced this before. The vital energy surged endlessly into Lin Yi's body. In an instant, Lin Yi felt like his body was about to explode. However, there was nothing he could do. He had already stopped the circulation of the mental cultivation method, but it was of no use. Cold sweat broke out on Lin Yi's forehead. What's going on? Could it be that I really have qi deviation? Lin Yi asked anxiously. Jiao Lao, what's going on? I can't control my true qi. What should I do? What should we do? Jiao Yazi glanced at Lin Yi and said indifferently, Isn't this normal? Very normal? Lin Yi was stunned. He was about to die from anxiety. Jiao Yazi actually used such a calm tone to talk to him. It was simply frightening. Yeah, aren't you going to break through soon? This is a good thing. Why are you so scared? Jiao Yazi said indifferently. What? Breakthrough? Haven't I only been in Earth-class late phase for a few days? Lin Yi was even more stunned. He had just broken through to the late stage of Earth class and hadn't even touched the barrier to the full circle. How could he have broken through? Wasn't this a little too fast? Who told you that you're about to break through to late Earth class? Jiao Yazi rolled his eyes and said, I'm talking about your art of dragon mastery. You're about to break through to the second stage and reach the full circle of the second stage. Cough, cough. Lin Yi was so shocked by Jiao Yazi's words that he almost vomited blood. He was just about to ask when he suddenly remembered the first time he entered the space in the Jade Pendant. Indeed, when he broke through to the full circle of the first stage, the feeling was very similar to what he was feeling now. No wonder Lin Yi felt that it was familiar. It was the first time he broke through his practitioner's heart. It had been a long time, and Lin Yi had been breaking through in terms of strength the whole time, not his practitioner's heart, so he'd forgotten about it. Thinking of this, Lin Yi finally calmed down and allowed the energy around him to flow into his body. At this moment, Lin Yi's body was like a magnet, constantly absorbing the energy around him. The energy in Lin Yi's body was increasing, and gradually, Lin Yi felt that his body could no longer withstand the huge amount of energy. Then, his whole body exploded like a firecracker. With a loud bang, the clothes on his body instantly turned into charred pieces, flying in all directions. Breakthrough. Lin Yi didn't think that he would reach the full circle of the second stage of the art of dragon mastery so quickly. Originally, this was something that would make Lin Yi jealous and have a headache, but he didn't expect to break through while he was healing. But that's not right. Didn't they say that the prerequisite for breaking through to the full circle of the second stage of the art of dragon mastery was to convert the 5 elements in his body into real elements? But he didn't accept the inheritance. So how did it become real? Thinking of this, Lin Yi couldn't be bothered to enjoy the pleasure of breaking through, and quickly asked Jiao Yazi, Jiao Lao, the virtual elements in my body haven't been converted into real elements. So how did I break through to the full circle of the second stage of the art of dragon mastery? Of course, you now have the 5 elements of real elements, except for the mist and ice elements. But this won't affect the breakthrough of the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, because those 2 elements are sub-elements, so there's no need to convert them for now. Jiao Yazi said, already converted? When did it happen? Don't I have to go to the place of inheritance to accept the inheritance? Lin Yi was stunned and felt that it was a little strange. When did he accept the inheritance? Just now, Jiao Yazi said. Just now. Lin Yi was stunned and suddenly remembered the strange thing that happened in the cave. At that time, he seemed to be in a strange and mysterious state. Could it be that was the inheritance? But even if it was the inheritance, it wouldn't be the inheritance of 5 elements at once. The 5 elements were converted into real elements at the same time. This made Lin Yi feel like he was dreaming. When I was in the cave, that's the time. Jiao Yazi nodded and said, although I also don't know why you accepted the inheritance there. There is indeed the origin of the 5 elements there. Could it be that the land of 5 evils means the 5 elements? Lin Yi frowned. Previously, the characteristics of the qi of 5 evils seemed to be similar to the qi of the 5 elements. Could it be that he accidentally came to the land of 5 evils and accepted the inheritance? I'm not sure about this. Jiao Yazi said, I haven't been here either, but one thing is for sure, you have accepted the inheritance. Why do you still want to find out why you accepted the inheritance? Chapter 2804. Although Lin Yi's inheritance was fundamentally different from theirs, since Lin Yi could inherit it, they should also be able to inherit it. No. Lin Yi suddenly thought of a very important question. Zhao Lao, even if I can inherit the 5 elemental origin energy here, isn't there a prerequisite for inheriting the 5 elemental origin energy? That is, I have to make a series of complicated preparations, unlike normal inheritors who only need to comprehend the inheritance themselves. I didn't make any preparations, right? You didn't do it, but it doesn't mean that others didn't. Zhao Yazi said faintly, maybe it was done by that dinosaur or that little girl. After being reminded by Zhao Yazi, Lin Yi suddenly thought of an incomparably important matter. It was that beautiful girl's ultimate killing technique. At that time, Lin Yi felt that it was a little familiar, but because he was injured, he didn't have time to think about it. But now that he thought about it, Lin Yi suddenly felt that this technique was actually a little similar to his own technique. Yes, this is the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm. Connecting this to the strange brilliance on the girl's palm, Lin Yi suddenly thought of the scene when Tagan Long activated the technique. This girl actually knows the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm. This discovery made Lin Yi's heart jump. Could this girl be from the Tagan family? Perhaps she's Tagan Long's sister? However, she could also be from the 5 elements sect and had nothing to do with the Tagan family. However, no matter which force the girl belonged to, whether it was the Tagan family or the 5 elements sect, she was still Lin Yi's enemy. Thinking of this, Lin Yi was a little hesitant. Should he save her or not? Lin Yi didn't want to save an enemy to deal with him for no reason. Although the beautiful girl was very beautiful, the poisonous mushroom was also very beautiful. If he ate it, he would die. When the art of dragon mastery reached the 2nd level, Lin Yi realized that his injuries were all healed. Lin Yi quickly returned to reality from the space in the Jade Pendant and saw Skybolt Pig anxiously guarding Lin Yi. Skybolt Pig, are you all right? Lin Yi looked at Skybolt Pig in shock. Skybolt Pig didn't seem to be injured at all. Gee. Skybolt Pig nodded and rode on the soft ground with his paw. My fur will stand up and it will act as a buffer. After he finished riding, the Skybolt Pig purposely stood up for Lin Yi to see. Then he bounced on the ground. This made Lin Yi speechless. This Skybolt Pig could even turn into an elastic ball. No wonder nothing happened. How's the girl? Lin Yi's heart was currently in a dilemma about the beautiful girl in yellow. Should he save her or not? If he saved her, Lin Yi was afraid that this person would turn against him and refuse to save her. Lin Yi thought about how he forcefully kissed her and how she reminded him when the 5 evils dragon attacked him. If it wasn't for her warning, he wouldn't have been able to activate the incantation in time to protect his body. If it wasn't for her warning, his injuries would have been even more severe. He didn't even know if he could have survived the fall from the valley. In a sense, the girl was Lin Yi's savior. If Lin Yi didn't save her, he wouldn't be able to bear it. GG. Skybolt Pig stretched out his paw and pointed in a direction not far away. Oh, you mean she's over there? Let's go and take a look. Lin Yi stood up and walked with Skybolt Pig in the direction it pointed. As he walked, Lin Yi observed the place he was at. This was the valley behind the 5 Evils Mountain. Lin Yi looked up and saw that he had fallen from the 5 Evils Mountain range. His face changed instantly. This was a valley that couldn't be climbed. The mountain wall in front of him was extremely smooth. There wasn't even a foothold to climb. It wouldn't have mattered if the mountain was a bit short. Lin Yi was an Earth-class late phase master. After all, he could jump up and try a few more times, and he would be able to reach the top. But this mountain was too high, and there was no way he could jump up. This mountain range was endless. Lin Yi didn't know if there was an end to it. At least, from the looks of it, Lin Yi couldn't go up. On the other side of the mountain range was a vast open space. Lin Yi didn't know what was on that side. In short, he couldn't see the end of it. This made Lin Yi's heart go cold. That dinosaur from before was really bad. It actually threw him into such a remote place. Even if he didn't fall to his death, he wouldn't be able to go back. He would be trapped to death here. At first, Lin Yi was thinking about whether or not he should save the beautiful woman. But now, It seemed that one more person meant one more strength. Lin, he still didn't know how to escape from here. Having another heaven-class late-phase master by his side was always a good thing. Moreover, if he didn't say anything, the beautiful woman wouldn't know that he was her enemy. Let's get out of this place first. Then we'll go our separate ways. Following the direction that Skybolt Pig pointed, Lin, he found the beautiful woman in the yellow dress in a pile of rubble. Looking at her, the beautiful woman in the yellow dress didn't suffer any other injuries except for the fatal wound on her chest. However, the girl's originally ruddy face was now extremely pale. It was enough to show that her injuries were not light. It seemed that when she fell down the cliff, she used the mantra to protect her body. That was why she didn't fall from such a high place without being smashed into meat paste. However, because she used all of her true chi to protect her body, she didn't seal the wound on her chest, causing her internal injuries to worsen. Lin bent down and checked the girl's breath. She was still breathing, which made Lin heave a sigh of relief. The beautiful woman in the yellow dress didn't die. Lin began to check her injuries. Originally, Lin thought that as long as he used the second level of the Art of Dragon Mastery to heal her internal injuries, it would be fine. But when Lin took a closer look, he found that something was wrong. On the chest of the beautiful woman, there was a white dinosaur nail fragment that had pierced into her heart. It was so deep that it had almost pierced through her entire chest. If he didn't remove the dinosaur nail fragment, then even if Lin used the Art of Dragon Mastery, he wouldn't be able to heal the beautiful woman's injuries. After all, it was an external obstruction. Chapter 2805. Therefore, in order to ensure that the beautiful woman could hold on, Lin decided to heal her injuries first. Once the injury on her chest was healed, he could cut her open and take out the dinosaur nail. Anyway, she was a heaven stage practitioner. If she couldn't bear this little pain, how could she have the strength of a heaven stage practitioner? Thinking of this, Lin didn't waste any time. He directly grasped the veins on the beautiful woman's wrists and quickly used the Art of Dragon Mastery. In an instant, Lin Yi's true chi surged into the beautiful woman's body. What Lin didn't expect was that after the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery reached perfection, the healing speed was so fast. It was more than a third faster than before. Lin was immediately overjoyed. This way, when he fought with a heaven stage practitioner, whether he was injured in battle or recovering his true chi after using a big move, he would be able to heal much faster than before. This was a life-saving measure. In fact, the yellow dress beautiful woman's injuries weren't as serious as Lin Yi's. Lin was hit by the dinosaur's skill, but the yellow dress beautiful woman only had her chest pierced by it. In comparison, Lin Yi's injuries were more serious. However, the yellow dress beautiful woman's injuries were already very serious in the eyes of other practitioners. A small rejuvenation pill couldn't save her, unless there was a third stage great rejuvenation pill. The beautiful woman's injuries were quickly recovering under the effect of Lin Yi's all-purpose true chi. And Lin didn't have to be too nervous with the Skybolt Pig guarding him. He focused on healing the beautiful woman and didn't have to worry about the safety of the people around him. But now, it seemed that there weren't any spirit beasts in this valley. The Skybolt Pig stood beside Lin lazily, looking around. Finally, the beautiful woman's injuries were all healed. Except for the dinosaur nail on her chest, all her injuries were healed. However, Lin only healed her injuries. He didn't help her recover her true chi. Lin wasn't familiar with her, and he didn't know if she would be hostile to him when she woke up. So he had to wait until she woke up to determine if she was a friend or foe. After the beautiful woman's injuries were healed, Lin undressed her. Although Lin was a miracle doctor, he didn't have X-ray vision and hands. He couldn't perform surgery on the beautiful woman through her clothes. So, Lin had to undress her chest and perform the surgery. Of course, Lin could wait for the beautiful woman to wake up and do it herself. But it was very dangerous. The beautiful woman wasn't a doctor. He wasn't a doctor. First, it would be very difficult to perform surgery on herself. Secondly, The dinosaur nail should be pierced to the side of the beauty on the beautiful woman. Lin to be, the beautiful woman's heart to be. But Linny wasn't afraid. He could use the art of dragon mastery to heal her. So, Linny decided to help her to the end. He removed the nail from her chest. But Linny was a little worried. He had to take off her clothes to heal her. What if she woke up and killed him? It wasn't that Lin was overthinking, but with Yang Chi as an example, Lin had to be careful. With that thought, Lin quickly used his finger to press on the beautiful woman's body a couple of times. One was to seal the acupuncture points on her chest, and the other was to seal her acupoints so that she wouldn't be able to move even if she woke up. The beautiful woman was a sky-class late-phase peak, but she had used up most of her energy during the fight with the five-bane dragon. The last bit of energy she had was used to protect her body when she fell off the cliff. Lin had already checked her. She had almost no energy left in her body. Even if she woke up, she wouldn't be able to use her energy to break through the seal. Lin was doing this just in case. After everything was done, Lin took off the clothes on the beautiful woman's chest. She wasn't wearing a brassy. She was only wearing a piece of yellow silk. Lin took a deep breath and gritted his teeth as he took off the silk. A pair of snow-white jade rabbits jumped out into Lin Yi's sight. There was a dinosaur nail in the middle of the two rabbits, but it didn't affect the beauty at all. The wound had been repaired by Lin Yi, and all that was left was a dinosaur nail. Lin Yi's breathing quickened as he looked at the beautiful scene in front of him. What surprised Lin Yi was that they really were big. They weren't as big as Yushu's, but they were big enough compared to the girls Lin Yi knew. Lin Yi couldn't understand why they didn't look this big on the outside. Was it because he was bound by the yellow silk? Lin Yi shook his head. The beautiful woman probably thought that her big breasts would affect her agility in battle, so she used the silk to bind them. With a shake of his head, Lin Yi quickly prepared for the surgery. He took out a small knife and sterilized it with pure energy before making a quick cut on the girl's chest. He'd learned from old Lin since he was young, and his knife was fast and accurate. There was no hesitation at all, and the cut he made was just big enough to pull out the dinosaur's nails. Lin quickly pulled out the nail and threw it to the side before reaching his hand out to touch the beautiful woman's wound. In actuality, Lin could have healed her by holding her pulse, but he didn't know why he reached out and touched it. That soft, smooth, and wonderful feeling made Lin Yi's heart skip a beat. He subconsciously used his hand to knead it a couple of times. Lin didn't know why he did that, but the beauty in front of him had an indescribable attraction to him. It was just like when he first laid eyes on her at the entrance of the cave. His heart had moved a little. Lin didn't understand why, but there was something about the beautiful woman in front of him that made him want to do it. However, Lin was a person who had gone through strict training, and his willpower was very strong. After a short moment of lust, he suddenly remembered that there was a deep wound on the beautiful woman's chest. He hurriedly used the art of dragon mastery and started to heal the beautiful woman's injury. The beautiful woman woke up as the injuries on her body healed. She thought she was going to die, and no one knew the situation better than she did. She was thrown off the cliff by the five-bane dragon with serious injuries. Even if she had chi to protect her body, if she didn't take a recover pill in time after falling, she would have died without a doubt. Chapter 28:06. Therefore, even the beautiful woman herself did not think that she would be able to wake up. She felt that the functions in her body were recovering bit by bit. In a daze, it was as if someone was pinching her chest. The beautiful woman did not have any true chi in her body at all, and she was a little confused and dizzy. Therefore, even if she felt that something was wrong, she was unable to care about what had happened. It was not until Lin Yi's second level of the art of dragon mastery began to circulate and began to heal the wound on the beautiful woman's chest that the beautiful woman felt a burst of warmth in her body, causing her to wake up a little. And this time, the beautiful woman clearly felt that there was a pair of hands on her chest. The beautiful woman was shocked. She opened her eyes and saw that Lin, he had his eyes closed and his hands on her chest. What are you doing? the beautiful woman subconsciously exclaimed. She wanted to slap him away, but she found that not only did she not have any true chi in her body to support her to do so, she could not even move if she wanted to. It was as if someone had sealed her acupuncture points. The beautiful woman was proficient in the art of medicine and alchemy. She knew about the human body's acupuncture points and the sealing of acupuncture points. Although she did not know how to do it, she still understood a little. She knew that there were some external cultivators who knew this kind of martial arts. However, at this moment, she did not have time to think about this. What she was thinking about now was what Lin Yi was going to do. The beautiful woman was ashamed and angry. Her beautiful eyes were wide open as she stared at Lin Yi. Her eyes could not wait to spit out flames of anger and burn Lin Yi to death. Healing your injuries. Lin Yi was also shocked when he saw that the beautiful woman had woken up. However, when he thought that her acupuncture points had been sealed by him and there was no true chi in her body, Lin Yi did not care. His hands were still on the beautiful woman's chest, healing her internal injuries. You? Healing my injuries? The beautiful woman was taken aback. She was not a brainless and impulsive person, although she was extremely angry at the moment. After being reminded by Lin Yi, the beautiful woman suddenly realized that the injuries in her body had actually healed. The beautiful woman knew exactly how badly she was injured. She glanced to the side and saw the bloody nails of the 5 Evils dragon. The beautiful woman immediately understood that Lin Yi must have helped her remove the nails of the 5 Evils dragon. However, even if he had helped him remove the 5 Evils dragon's nails, how had he helped him heal his injuries? Could it be that he has a 3rd grade Great Revitalizing Pill? Or did he discover the 2 Great Cyclic Pills on him? However, the beautiful woman denied her own thoughts. It was impossible for Lin Yi to have a 3rd grade Great Revitalizing Pill. Otherwise, he would not have asked Kong Mingming for a 3rd grade Great Revitalizing Pill. He should not have been able to refine it himself. In fact, in the cave, the beautiful woman recognized Lin Yi's identity when she first saw Lin Yi. She knew that he was Lin Yi and also knew some things about Lin Yi. The beautiful woman did not expect to meet Lin Yi here. Moreover, Lin Yi actually dared to go to the 5 Evils Mountain. Could it be that Lin Yi stole my 2 Great Revitalizing Pills? He had taken one himself, and now he was giving himself another one. This was the only explanation the beautiful woman could think of. After all, Lin Yi had suffered serious injuries. She knew very well that he was hit by the 5 Evils dragon skill and was thrown off the cliff by the 5 Evils dragon. It was already good enough that he did not fall to his death. How could he have healed her injuries? However, even if Lin Yi took away her Great Revitalizing Pill and took it, the beautiful woman would not blame Lin Yi. On the contrary, she felt that Lin Yi was a righteous person. If it was any other cultivator, if they found a Great Revitalizing Pill on her, they would probably eat one and then take another. They would never let her eat it. They would leave her to fend for herself. How could they waste a Great Revitalizing Pill? Therefore, the beautiful woman was very grateful to Lin Yi. If he had not given her a Great Revitalizing Pill, she was afraid that she would have walked on the road to hell. Yes, how else do you think he recovered? Lin Yi pretended to be extremely serious and continued to massage the beautiful woman's chest as he defended his actions. The beautiful woman's expression changed slightly. A sharp light flashed in her eyes. Originally, she was very grateful to Lin Yi, but she did not expect that Lin Yi would take the opportunity to act like a hooligan. The beautiful woman suddenly had a murderous intent in her heart. Are you healing me? My injuries were healed by the Great Revitalizing Pill. You used your hands to touch me, and you can heal me? Do you want to die? What Great Revitalizing Pill? Lin Yi was stunned. He also felt the beautiful woman's killing intent. However, Lin Yi was also a little annoyed. I was saving you. Although I could have saved you without touching your chest, I touched it to save you. Besides, I brought a dead person back to life. Not only do you want to repay me with your body, but you also want to kill me? In anger, Lin Yi could not help but increase the strength of his hand. You You. The beautiful woman was so angry that her face turned ashen. She wanted to jump up and kill Lin Yi, but she did not have any true chi in her body. Her acupuncture points were also sealed. However, this also gave the beautiful woman time to calm down. She wanted to say that Lin Yi was taking the opportunity to act like a hooligan and take advantage of her. But at this moment, she clearly felt that there was a burst of warmth coming from Lin Yi's palm, and the injury on her chest was miraculously healing. She was a cultivator at the peak of the late stage of Heaven's stage. Her perception was not ordinary. The healing of the wound made her extremely shocked. After feeling this strange change, the expression on the beautiful woman's face changed from anger to astonishment. What she did not expect was that Lin Yi was really healing her. Could it be that he could heal with his hands? The beautiful woman's beautiful eyes looked at Lin Yi in shock. Did he not use the great revitalizing pill? Yes. Even if he used the great revitalizing pill, the injuries on her body would at most heal and scab. It was impossible to grow new skin so quickly. This was not realistic. Moreover, there would still be scars on her body. After all, no matter how powerful the great revitalizing pill was, the wound caused by the 5 evil dragon's nails was too big and too deep. It was difficult to not leave a scar. What's wrong with me? Lin Yi asked. Nothing. Thank you. The beautiful woman was a little shy. Although she felt that it was difficult for her to accept being pressed on her chest by Lin Yi. Lin Yi was her savior. The beautiful woman was not a person who could not distinguish between good and bad. Chapter 28:07. But Lin Yi wasn't the kind of person to get entangled in trivial matters. Since he knew, Lin Yi continued to heal the beautiful woman. Although it was only a wound on her chest, it was very deep. It was as if her heart had been pierced through, so it wasn't something that could be healed in a short time. The beautiful woman wanted to stop Lin Yi. She wanted to take the great recovery pill herself, because the feeling of Lin Yi touching her chest was really strange. It made her feel hot and shy. But the beautiful woman was a girl after all. Even if she was a peak late-stage heaven-rank cultivator, she didn't want to have a scar on her body. Lin Yi's magical healing technique made the beautiful woman a bit reluctant. This was something the great recovery pill couldn't replace. Moreover, the value of a great recovery pill was not low. Even with her status, she only had 2 of them on her person. This was the entire stock of the sect, so she didn't want to waste a great recovery pill just like that. Gritting her teeth, the beautiful woman closed her eyes and thought, since I've touched it before, it doesn't matter if it's a while longer. Time flew by quickly. Since the beautiful woman was unable to resist, she could only quietly enjoy it. Although she felt a little embarrassed at first, after a long time, this kind of numbing feeling made her breath slightly faster. This was the first time that the beautiful woman's body was touched by a man. This kind of wonderful feeling made her want to resist, but she also welcomed it. However, the beautiful woman was a rational person. After a moment of confusion, her mind regained its calmness. The pain in her chest had already disappeared. The beautiful woman opened her eyes and glanced at her chest. She found that besides the area covered by Lin Yi's palm, there was no longer any wound. And the area covered by Lin Yi's palm didn't feel any pain other than that wonderful feeling. It doesn't hurt anymore. Do you still want to continue healing? The beautiful woman couldn't help but ask. It's already healed. Lin Yi's mind was a bit lost before. He was mechanically circulating the second layer of the art of dragon mastery. After being reminded by the beautiful woman, he suddenly realized that the girl's chest injury had completely healed. He said with some embarrassment, "Sorry, I was too engrossed in healing. Invest." The beautiful woman was stunned for a moment before her face turned red. She understood Lin Yi's intentions and could not help but glare at Lin Yi. "Then can you take it away now? Now, I want to help you consolidate." For some reason, Lin Yi said this sentence. You're courting death." The beautiful woman glared at Lin Yi, but for some reason, her desire to kill Lin Yi had faded a lot. Lin Yi quickly moved his hands away, and a pair of perfect jade rabbits jumped out. Turn your head. The beautiful woman felt a chill in her chest. When she looked up, she saw Lin Yi staring at her with a lecherous look. She immediately became anxious. Oh, okay. Lin Yi also felt that his previous behavior was a bit inappropriate, but this also made Lin Yi feel strange. He was not a person who was easily obsessed with lust. What was going on today? The girl in front of him seemed to have an indescribable attraction to him. As for why, Lin Yi could not explain it. After Lin Yi turned his head, the beautiful woman quickly wanted to tie the yellow silk back to her chest. However, when she raised her hand, she realized that her acupuncture points were still sealed. If she had true qi in her body, it would not be a problem. She could break through the acupuncture points on her own, but she did not. She hesitated for a moment and could only say, "Han." Lin Yi asked, but he did not turn his head. "You, help me unseal my acupuncture points," the beautiful woman said anxiously. "All right." Lin Yi just remembered that the beautiful woman's acupuncture points had not been unsealed. He quickly turned around, but he could not avoid seeing the charming jade rabbit on the beautiful woman's chest. You're still looking?" The beautiful woman glared at Lin. "How can I unseal the acupuncture points if I don't look? Are you going to reach out and poke around?" Lin Yi asked. "Then, you look." The beautiful woman was a little speechless. "This is what you wanted to look at." Lin Yi continued to look, then reached out his hand and lightly poked the beautiful woman's body a few times. After that, Lin Yi directly turned around. Although the temptation here was greater, Lin Yi still decisively resisted. This was an expert at the peak of the late stage of Heaven Stage. She was not an ordinary little girl. After Lin Yi recognized this, he did not dare to casually provoke her again. The beautiful woman tried for a while, and sure enough, she could move her body. She quickly picked up the yellow silk on the ground and quickly tied up her chest. She tidied up her clothes, but she did not immediately call Lin Yi. Instead, she looked at Lin Yi's back with a complicated look in her eyes. With her style of doing things, she should have killed Lin Yi, but she didn't know why, but she didn't want to do it. Was it because Lin Yi was her savior? The beautiful woman touched the small box on her body and opened it. There were 2 perfectly intact pills inside. At this time, the beautiful woman was completely sure that Lin Yi didn't use her pills. In other words, Lin Yi healed his injuries first and then healed his own. The beautiful woman was very clear about how serious Lin Yi's injuries were. She found it hard to imagine that Lin Yi could actually heal himself and then heal himself. He's really amazing. No wonder Little 1 and Little 13 returned in defeat, and Han Jingjing could actually recover after suffering such heavy injuries. And Boss Bai's injuries, did he also heal them? Thinking of this possibility, the beautiful woman was shocked by her own thoughts. If that was the case, then Lin Yi was simply too powerful. However, no matter what, the beautiful woman didn't have any enmity with Lin Yi. She couldn't mediate the enmity between Lin Yi and the 5 Elements sect. Not to mention her, even her master couldn't do anything about it. Therefore, the beautiful woman shook her head and temporarily stopped thinking about these things. "Thank you," the beautiful woman said to Lin Yi. Although Lin inevitably took advantage of her while she was healing, the beautiful woman was still grateful to him. Without him, she might have already died. Chapter 28:08. That's the 5 Evils Dragon. It's the master of the 5 Evils Savage Land. The beautiful woman was a little shy at first, but when it came to serious matters, she regained her composure and explained to Lin Yi. The 5 Evils Dragon. Could it be a 5 elemental spirit beast? Lin Yi asked. That's right. You should be able to tell from the skills it uses. The beautiful woman nodded. Oh, so you're saying that you're a practitioner of all 5 elements as well? Lin Yi pretended to ask casually. The beautiful woman's expression tightened slightly, but she still nodded and said, I'm a 4 elemental cultivator and 1 virtual elemental cultivator. Do you know about the 5 elemental cultivator and the virtual elemental cultivator? I know a little. Lin Yi nodded. He suddenly understood and was very surprised. This beautiful woman was a 4-elemental cultivator and 1 virtual elemental cultivator. Wasn't she too powerful? Let's not talk about this. All right, what's your name? Are you also a trial taker participating in the Heavenly Elixir Sex trial? The beautiful woman didn't want to talk about her own problems. When she saw Lin Yi's surprised expression, she changed the topic. Lin Yi didn't hide it. There was no way to hide it. Other than the trial takers, is there anyone else here? That's true. The beautiful woman nodded. She reached into her bag and took out a spiritual herb. She handed it to Lin Yi and said, "This is the spiritual herb I promised you. It's needed for this trial." "Oh, then I won't stand on ceremony." Lin Yi nodded and accepted it. "What's your name? Which sector are you from?" "My name is Tian Chan. I'm a loose cultivator." The beautiful woman hesitated for a moment before saying her name. However, she lied about her sect. Right now, her sect should have some conflict with Lin Yi. She didn't know why, but Tian Chan didn't want too much estrangement between her and Lin Yi. Perhaps she didn't want him to feel that he had saved an enemy. That was what Tian Chan thought. Tian Chan, this area is built next to the water, and every family has its own shadow, just like its name. Lin Yi looked at Tian Chan and said emotionally. Tian Chan blushed. How could she not hear that Lin Yi was praising her beauty? Since she was a child, no one had ever praised her as a beauty. At this time, being praised by Lin Yi, Tian Chan couldn't help but feel a little shy. "All right, why did you come to the Five Fiends mountain range?" Tian Chan changed the topic and asked. She was a little curious as to why Lin Yi would come to the peak of the Five Fiends mountain range. "Oh, I want to look for treasures." Lin Yi didn't hide it and told the truth. If he randomly came up with a reason, Tian Chan wouldn't believe him. "Treasure hunt?" Tian Chan was stunned. "Oh, this is it." Lin Yi took out the Essence Energy Inner Core and showed it to Tian Chan. Essence Energy Inner Core. "You actually found this thing?" Tian Chan was stunned. She didn't expect Lin Yi's luck to be so good. He actually found a Spirit Beast's Essence Energy Inner Core. "You know what this thing is used for?" Lin Yi didn't expect Tian Chan to recognize it at a glance. When Tian Chan heard Lin Yi's question, she couldn't help but be stunned. She hesitated for a moment, but still said, "It can be made into a protective necklace. However, it needs a blacksmith." "Are you a blacksmith?" Lin Yi asked. Tian Chan pursed her lips and nodded. "You can say that. However, I've never forged anything before." "Why don't you help me forge one?" Lin Yi smiled and made a joke. One is not enough. I need at least 5. Tian Chan said. "Moreover, after this trial, I will return to my sect. You and I probably won't meet again." Which sect are you from?" "Maybe we'll meet again in the future," Lin Yi asked. Tian Chan hesitated for a moment and became silent. She didn't want to lie to Lin Yi, but she also didn't want to reveal her sect. The Heavenly Elixir sect and Lin Yi still had a lot of hatred. Tian Chan didn't want to destroy their relationship because of her sect. As for why she cared so much about their relationship, Tian Chan didn't know. If it was in the past, she would definitely kill Lin Yi. But now, she didn't have this thought. "Forget it. Let's not talk about this." Tian Chan's silence made Lin Yi slightly surprised. However, he didn't ask further. Even if Tian Chan didn't say, Lin Yi could guess her origin. If she really came from the Five Elements sect, it was normal for her to hide her sect's origin. "Oh yes, why did you come to the Five Fiends mountain range?" "I came to do something special," Tian Chan said. "Did you succeed?" Lin Yi asked. "I don't know yet." Tian Chan shook her head. Thinking about what happened before, she was a little confused. Lin Yi knew that the two of them weren't familiar. Even if he was Tian Chan's savior, Tian Chan might not tell him the truth, and she might not tell him her purpose of coming here. After all, Lin Yi guessed that Tian Chan might be here to accept the inheritance. However, according to Boss Bai's words, the inheritance of origin power was different from the inheritance of perception. Every time the inheritance of origin power was passed down, only one person could successfully accept the inheritance. If he successfully accepted the inheritance, then Tian Chan should have failed to accept the inheritance. In this way, Tian Chan's previous preparation gave Lin Yi a ready-made advantage. If Tian Chan knew that Lin Yi accepted the inheritance, would she be so angry that she would kill him? Thinking of this, Lin Yi decided not to continue on this topic. Otherwise, if Tian Chan realized it, he would be in danger. After all, Boss Bai had said before that in order to accept the inheritance of origin power, a series of complicated preparations must be made. Before, Tian Chan might have already made the preparations, and now the inheritance might have failed. It was just that she herself didn't know it yet. As for Lin Yi, if it weren't for the fact that the art of dragon mastery suddenly broke through to the second level, Lin Yi probably wouldn't think that he had already accepted the inheritance, because on the surface, it was hard to tell whether he had accepted the inheritance or not. How do we get out of here? This cliff is really high. How are we going to get up? Lin Yi suddenly thought of the most important question, which was how the two of them could leave from here. Being reminded by Lin Yi, Tian Chan raised her head and found the situation of the two of them. A touch of worry flashed in her eyes. Tian Chan looked around, and the worry on her face became more intense. After a while, she said, "It seems that we can't go up." Chapter 28:09. One must know that the jumping height of a heaven rank expert was not on the same level as an earth rank expert. Even if Lin Yi's Qigong was good, it did not mean that he could jump higher than a heaven rank expert. He could only run as fast as a heaven rank expert. This place is very high. With my jumping height, I can't jump up at all. Tian Chan looked at the cliff and shook her head. The worry in her eyes deepened. Then, why don't we go up from here and keep walking along the mountain? Lin Yi asked. There must be an end to this mountain, right? End? Maybe, maybe not. Even if there is, there might be other dangers. Tian Chan shook her head. I know this place better than you. The other side of the Five Fiends Mountain is a dead end. Dead end? Lin Yi looked at Tian Chan in shock. That means, other than going back from here, there is no way out? That's right. Legend has it that the Five Fiends Mountain is a dividing line. On the other side of the Five Fiends Mountain lives a higher-level spiritual beast, the legendary Heavenly Beast. Tian Chan said, the Five Fiends Mountain range is where the previous spiritual beast kings of the land of five evils reside. When it successfully ascends to the Heavenly Tao, it will give up the Five Fiends Mountain range to the successor, who is the new spiritual beast king of the land of five evils. The old spiritual beast king that ascends to the Heavenly Tao will cross the Five Fiends Mountain range and go to the other side of the mountain range. Lin Yi was speechless. Originally, Lin Yi was hoping that there was a way out in the endless distance, but it seemed that there was no hope now. Since Tian Chan could come here to receive the inheritance, she must know this place better than him. Previously, a spiritual beast with the strength of a heaven-rank late-stage spiritual beast had already put them in a difficult situation. If they continued to walk forward and encountered a bunch of heavenly beasts, it would be equivalent to courting death. Lin Yi would rather wait for death here. It was better to go there and die. Then, there is no other way? Lin Yi said helplessly as he looked at the precipitous cliff in front of him. He never thought that he would be trapped in a valley one day. I can't think of anything for now. Tian Chan shook her head and frowned. No one knew what she was thinking. If we don't go out, will someone come looking for us? Lin Yi actually wanted to ask if anyone had come looking for Tian Chan. Since she was here to receive the inheritance, then she should be a very important figure in the Five Elements sect. It was impossible for the Five Elements sect to ignore her, right? I don't think so. Tian Chan shook her head. I'm not sure either. All right, are you hungry? I'll make something to eat, and then we'll think of a way. Lin Yi asked. It's okay, I'm a sky class, so I don't need to eat. Tian Chan shook her head. But I don't have any pure qi left in my body, so I'm a little hungry. Then I'll go find something to eat. Lin Yi couldn't think of a good way to leave at the moment. He could only look for something to eat. He wasn't as familiar with the terrain as Tian Chan was, and if Tian Chan said there was no way, then there was no way. So, the only thing Lin Yi was considering was if he could climb up the precipitous cliff and not leave from another direction. Skybolt Pig, is there anything good to eat here? Lin Yi turned to Skybolt Pig and asked. Huh, This is Skybolt Pig. Tian-chan heard Lin Yi's words and focused on Skybolt Pig. She was a little surprised. You know Skybolt Pig? Lin Yi was startled. He didn't think that Tian-chan would know about Skybolt Pig. Yeah, I've read about it before. The elixir God Zhang Liju's contracted spirit beast. Why is it with you? Tian-chan paused and remembered that Lin Yi had been to Zhang Liju's tomb before, so it wasn't surprising that he had Zhang Liju's contracted spirit beast. Haha, it was a coincidence that this little guy followed me. Lin Yi rubbed Skybolt Pig's head and didn't say much. He and Tian-chan seemed to be getting along well, but they were both holding back. Everyone had their own secrets that couldn't be told. I see. I heard that this little guy knows how to hunt for treasures. Is that true? Tian-chan asked. It's true, and it was this little guy who brought me here to find this essence energy core. Lin Yi said honestly. Oink oink. Skybolt Pig nodded proudly. It's so cute, can I hug it? Tian-chan didn't think that she would meet Skybolt Pig here. This was her grandmaster's contracted spirit beast, and Tian-chan felt that she would be affected by her grandmaster's spiritual energy just by hugging it. Sure, but this little guy is shy. But before Lin Yi could finish, Skybolt Pig jumped into Tian-chan's arms. This made Lin Yi speechless. Are you two from the same family? What's with this little guy? Same family? Tian-chan froze. Our surname is Tian. Lin Yi smiled. You're the one from the same family as the pig. Tian-chan rolled her eyes at Lin Yi. She was extremely charming, and Lin Yi couldn't help but hold his breath. Ha! Lin Yi laughed. It seems to like me very much. Tian-chan found that Skybolt Pig was very close to her. Still, I can't give it to you. Lin Yi said. Stingy. Tian-chan returned Skybolt Pig to Lin Yi. However, after Tian-chan said this, she felt a bit strange. She actually had such a coquettish side. Was it because he saw her body? Or was it because he didn't know where he would go tomorrow at the bottom of this cliff? Ha! Lin Yi took Skybolt Pig and said, Let's go find something to eat. Oink oink. Skybolt Pig seemed to be a bit hungry and excitedly ran in a direction with Lin Yi. Tian-chan wanted to follow, but she thought that her body was very tired. She didn't have a trace of physical strength. At this time, she shouldn't waste her physical strength. It would be better for her to sit down and cultivate for a while. So Lin Yi left. Tian-chan sat on the ground and began to absorb the heaven and earthling chi. The 5 evils chi here was a nightmare for other cultivators, but for Tian-chan, it was a rare place to cultivate. The heaven and earthling chi here was very pure. Although it was of the 5 attributes, she was also a cultivator of the 5 attributes. The 5 evils chi here would not have any adverse effect on her. Lin Yi followed Skybolt Pig all the way to a natural pond. Skybolt Pig used his claws to point at the pond and then oink oink twice. Chapter 28:10. However, after Lin Yi stood there for a while, he discovered that there wasn't a trace of true chi fluctuation in the pond. There shouldn't be any spirit beasts here. Gigi. The Skybolt Pig was drooling. Lin Yi was helpless. He rolled up his pants and walked to the edge of the pond. However, Lin Yi discovered that there were a lot of fish in the pond. Perhaps it was because there weren't any spirit beasts or people here all year round. The pond was already full of fish. Moreover, they were all very fat. Lin Yi casually reached out his hand and caught a few big fish. Lin Yi threw the fish on the shore and grabbed a few more. Then, he went ashore and brought the Skybolt Pig back to the original place. There, he saw Tian-chan sitting cross-legged with her eyes closed, cultivating. Lin Yi was slightly surprised. Then he immediately thought of Tian-chan's attributes. She was also a cultivator of the 5 attributes, so it was normal for her to be able to use the 5 evils chi to cultivate. However, this 5 evils chi wasn't very useful for Lin Yi. Although the 5 evils chi here was very pure, it wasn't as pure as the true chi in the space inside the jade pendant. Lin Yi could only cultivate normally here. Tian-chan, do you want to eat fish? Lin Yi asked. Ah, you're back. Tian-chan quickly recovered from her cultivation state. She discovered that she was too immersed in her cultivation. In the past, it didn't matter when she was in the sect because no one could harm her. Therefore, when Tian-chan was cultivating, she wasn't vigilant at all. But here, if Lin wanted to harm her, then she would really fall into his trap. However, Tian-chan had a second thought. If Lin really wanted to harm her, then why did Lin save her? At that time, he could have just given her a palm and she would have died. Why would he wait until now? Therefore, Tian-chan felt that she was thinking too much. There was no need to guard against Lin. Well, I only found fish here. I'm going to grill it. Do you want to eat it? Lin asked. Let's eat. Tian-chan showed an expectant expression. I haven't eaten for a long time. Hee hee. Lin laughed and said, if you want to eat, come and help me. There are no dead branches here. Help? Tian-chan was taken aback. How? You are a 5-elemental cultivator, so you should also be an alchemist, right? Condensed and fire to roast fish. As Lin spoke, he placed the fish on the ground in order. Then, he condensed an alchemic fire and began to roast them. So this works too? Tian-chan found it a little novel. In the sect, she had never used the elixir fire to roast fish. She had never even cooked dishes by herself, so she didn't know that the elixir fire could also be used to roast. Hee hee, I can tell that you are a socialite. You are naturally different from individual cultivators like us. Under all the harsh conditions, you have to rely on yourself to create the conditions, Lin said with a smile. Yes, it's fortunate that I met you. Otherwise, I'm afraid I would have been buried under this cliff this time. Tian-chan said with a sigh. According to Patriarch Xianshun, there shouldn't be any danger for her to come here. However, who would have thought that the 5 Evils dragon would return to the cave so early, causing her to experience such a thrilling scene? If it weren't for Lin who helped her heal, even if she had 100 recover pills, she wouldn't have been able to eat them. Tian-chan followed Lin Yi's example and condensed the elixir fire to roast fish. With the two of them roasting together, the process was naturally much faster. In the blink of an eye, the roast fish emitted a fragrant aroma. Tian-chan was really a little hungry. After the roast fish was done, she couldn't wait to take a big bite. However, she felt that it wasn't ladle-like enough. She blushed and lowered her head to eat the fish in small bites. However, she wasn't used to it. If you're hungry, then eat it. There are only the two of us here. You don't have to care too much about those etiquettes, Lin said. Although Tian-chan heard Lin Yi's words, she still ate the roast fish in a very polite manner. Lin smiled and didn't say anything else. He picked up a roast fish and threw it to Skybolt Pig. As for Lin, because he had just broken through to the 2nd level of the art of dragon mastery, he didn't feel hungry at all. Skybolt Pig caught the roast fish and ate it in big bites. There was a total of 6 roast fish. Skybolt Pig ate 2, and the remaining 4 went into Tian-chan's stomach. When Tian-chan finished eating, she realized that she actually ate 6 roast fish. This made her a little embarrassed. It's okay. We're all cultivators. It's okay to eat a little more. Lin smiled. It would have been better if Lin didn't say it. After hearing it, Tian-chan became even more embarrassed. She glared at Lin and said, You still dare to say it? I'll kick you. Hee hee. Lin smiled. He felt that the beautiful girl in front of him was very cute. Although she was a peak late-stage heaven-class expert, her mind was a little pure. It seemed that she wasn't that old. Lin knew that heaven-class experts could maintain their appearance forever. Although they couldn't live forever, they could still maintain the appearance they had when they broke through to the heaven class. Although Tian-chan looked like she was 17 or 18 years old, she might actually be 40 or 50 years old. But from her current reaction, she shouldn't be that old. How old are you this year? Lin asked. 19, how about you? Tian-chan was embarrassed. Lin changed the topic, and she was happy to answer. Oh, I'm just 1 year older than you. Lin said, but you're actually a peak late-stage heaven-class expert at such a young age. It's really rare. It seems that your sex strength isn't weak. It's all right. Tian-chan didn't seem to be willing to talk about her sex matters. She didn't answer Lin Yi's question directly. Lin Yi saw that Tian-chan didn't want to talk about it, so he didn't say anything else. The only topic between the two of them was each other's sect cultivation methods, and martial skills. But these things were confidential. If Tian-chan didn't say it, Lin Yi couldn't ask. As for other common things, he really didn't know what to say. After all, the two of them weren't very familiar with each other, and they didn't understand each other. Lin Yi raised his head and looked at the steep cliff. He was thinking about a way to leave this place. Staying here was not a solution. Although Lin Yi felt that the 5 evils chi shouldn't have any effect on him, he couldn't live here forever, right? Although living here with a beautiful woman like Tian-chan was a very enviable thing, Lin Yi had more important things to do. There's no foothold on this cliff, but when you jump, can't you use your hands and feet to make a dent on the cliff and use it as a foothold? Lin Yi suggested after carefully studying the cliff. Chapter 28:11. Then, she continued, you should have seen it before. When I was fighting with the dragon of 5 evils, our martial skills collided with each other. Although it produced a very powerful force, its cave didn't suffer any damage. Yes, Lin Yi was suddenly startled. Only now did he realize that something was wrong. The dragon of 5 evils had collided with Tian-chan's martial skills, and the resulting force was almost equivalent to Lin Yi's Zhenqi bomb. However, the cave of the dragon of 5 evils was not damaged at all. Moreover, Lin Yi's Zhenqi bomb had been able to explode the rocks in the Wulonghout mountain range and at the school gate. In that case, it seems that my proposal won't work. Lin Yi smiled helplessly. It's not impossible. I can use my martial skill to create a depression in the mountain rock and then grab it. But with my ability, even if I have enough physical strength and true chi, I can only use my strongest martial skill 3 times. And with the height of my jump, if I want to jump to the top of the mountain, I will have to jump at least 20 times. I can't hold on for that long. Tian-chan shook her head helplessly and said, your proposal is feasible in theory, but it won't work in practice. But what if you recover your physical strength and Zhenqi for a while after 3 times? Lin Yi's heart moved, and he suddenly asked, my hands and feet are clasped on the cliff. How can I use a mnemonic chant in that kind of tense state? I have to use all of my strength to concentrate on clasping the cliff with my hands and feet. Tian-chan shook her head and said, otherwise, I will accidentally fall and die. Moreover, my mnemonic chant can only be used when I sit cross-legged and meditate. Lin Yi nodded. Tian-chan was right. Lin Yi's mantra didn't require him to sit cross-legged and meditate. However, what Tian-chan said was right. At that time, all his attention would be placed on the cliff with his hands and feet. How would he be able to meditate? The slightest bit of relaxation and distraction would cause one to fall to their death. This method was still flawed. Lin Yi originally wanted to cooperate with Tian-chan. Lin Yi would transfer physical strength and true chi to Tian-chan, and Tian-chan would only need to circulate the inner force chant. However, the current situation was that Tian-chan could not circulate the inner force chant while holding onto the cliff. I have a way. Lin Yi hesitated and said, you have a way? Tian-chan was slightly taken aback. And I have a martial technique called Heavenly Spring Rain. It can consume my own physical strength and true chi to quickly restore my teammates' physical strength and true chi. Lin Yi said, at that time, you don't need to circulate the inner force chant. Just focus on holding onto the cliff, and I can restore your physical strength and true chi. Heavenly Spring Rain? Huh? Isn't this the martial technique of the everyday and everyday sect? You actually know it? Tian-chan was slightly taken aback, but she had obviously heard of this martial technique. Really? Lin Yi was also taken aback. He didn't expect this martial technique to be passed down from the everyday and everyday sect. I got this martial technique from a friend. It doesn't have much to do with the everyday and everyday sect. You really have a lot of powerful martial techniques. Before, your true chi could heal my injuries. Now, your true chi can also be used by me. You have quite a lot of secrets. At this moment, Tian-chan felt that it wasn't a coincidence that Lin Yi had a foothold in the hidden realm and began to attack the ancient realm. But Lin Yi really had the strength to do so. However, Tian-chan was very curious. How did a rogue cultivator reach this step? Tian-chan decided that after going back, she would carefully investigate Lin Yi's growth. This was the first time she was so curious about a person. Hee. Then can you keep it a secret for me? Tian-chan knew too many of Lin Yi's secrets. Although the two of them seemed to have a good relationship, it was based on the situation where the two of them couldn't leave this place. Once the two of them left this place and separated, Lin Yi was also afraid that Tian-chan would be pressured by the sect to say something. At that time, his secrets would be exposed. Okay. Tian-chan unexpectedly nodded and agreed to Lin Yi's request. After agreeing, Tian-chan felt that it was inconceivable. I actually agreed to keep it a secret for him? Is it because he saved me before? Perhaps I'm not someone who doesn't know how to repay kindness. Thank you. Lin Yi didn't know why, but he also believed Tian-chan's words. He always felt that there was an indescribable connection and trust between the two of them. As for what exactly it was, Lin Yi also didn't know. Now let's think about how to leave this place. Although you have the heavenly spring rain martial skill, even so, it will be difficult for us to leave this place. Tian-chan shook her head and said, First of all, even if you can use martial skills to help me recover my physical strength, you can only recover once or twice, but can you recover a third time? I'm an expert with the strength of the peak late stage of heaven stage. First of all, I have more physical strength and true chi than you. Even if you give me all the physical strength and true chi in your body, I can only jump 2 more times. It won't play a decisive role. Moreover, there are 2 of us. How can we jump up together? Your 2 worries are actually not a problem. Lin Yi waved his hand and said, First of all, I can recover my physical strength and continue to use martial skills. Second, you can tie me behind you, so that when you jump up, you can bring me along. You recover physical strength and true chi? Tian-chan was stunned. How long will it take to recover? As far as I know, after continuously using martial skills, after using the body's physical strength and true chi, it is impossible to recover without a period of cultivation, right? I'll be fine a while. Lin Yi smiled. Look at me. Just now I healed myself, healed you, and grilled fish. I used up a lot of physical strength and true chi. But now, my physical strength and true chi are full. Tian-chan was shocked and looked at Lin Yi in surprise. Lin Yi, on the other hand, deliberately operated the mantra, making Tian-chan feel an obvious feeling of energy. After a while, Tian-chan said, You are really amazing. There are not many people who can make me admire, but you are one of them. Hee. If it weren't for the fact that we are going through thick and thin together, I wouldn't have told you so many secrets. Lin Yi shrugged. What do you think of my suggestion? Chapter 28:12. In the past, Tian-chan wouldn't have agreed at all. She didn't have much physical contact with the opposite sex. But now it was different. The two of them were in a hopeless situation, and if they didn't do this, they wouldn't be able to escape. Plus, Lin Yi had seen things he shouldn't have seen, touched things he shouldn't have touched, and Tian-chan's immunity towards him. It was all him anyways, and Tian-chan's resistance wasn't as strong anymore. All right. Tian-chan finally nodded. I don't know how long it's been. Lin Yi had broken through in the jade space, and with the inheritance from the origin, he didn't know how long it had been. He wondered how Zhao Qikuan and the others were doing. What's wrong? Do you have friends who are participating in the trial outside? Yeah, I wonder how they're doing. Lin Yi said worriedly. Tian-chan was silent after listening to Lin Yi's words. She knew the nature of the Sky Elixir School's test. The practitioners who came here were basically sending themselves to death. Although it was cruel, Tian-chan couldn't do anything about it. Even her master couldn't do anything about it. She couldn't do anything about it. She could only let it be. But she couldn't say this to Lin Yi, so she changed the topic. How do I tie you to me? There aren't any ropes or anything like that here. Ugh. Lin Yi looked around, and other than a bloody fingernail, there was nothing else. Lin Yi's eyes finally landed on Tian-chan's chest, as if he wanted to say something, but he didn't. Tian-chan felt uncomfortable being stared at by Lin Yi. What are you looking at? Your chest, the yellow cloth. Lin Yi said. Then what about my chest? Tian Chan glared at Lin Yi and said angrily, should I show it to you? I'm behind you, so I can't see it. Lin Yi sweated and said, besides, didn't I see it before? There's only the two of us here. Once we reach the top of the mountain, you can go back, right? This. Tian Chan felt a little embarrassed to do so. After all, this was different from when Lin Yi healed her. However, thinking about it, Lin Yi was right. There were only the two of them in this mountain range. Lin Yi had seen and touched it. In order to go up smoothly, Lin Yi's suggestion was acceptable. However, Tian Chan felt that it was a little inappropriate. Besides, your clothes are so long, it can't be exposed, right? At most, it'll be faintly visible. Look at those car models on TV. There's so much exposed. Lin Yi said while the iron was hot. I'll kick you to death. I don't want to become famous. Tian Chan pretended to kick Lin Yi, but Lin Yi's words made her relax a little. She rolled her eyes at Lin Yi and said, how am I supposed to take it off if you look at me? Haha, I'll just treat it as watching you dance. Lin Yi smiled. I think you're looking for a kick. You're just a small Earth-class late phase. How dare you talk to a Sky-class late phase peak like this? Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you in one hit? Tian Chan looked at Lin Yi with disdain. Haha, I can kill Sky-class in one hit too. Lin Yi smiled. Zhang Naipeo brought 2 Sky-class mid-phase followers. I killed one of them. Ah, you can kill Sky-class mid-phase already? Tian Chan paused and looked at Lin Yi in shock. What do you mean by already? Did you know that I could do it in the past? Lin Yi paused as well. No, I was just shocked. Tian Chan was a little shocked. She didn't know that Zhang Naipeo's followers were killed in one hit. She just didn't expect Lin Yi to be this strong. Then you're still not my opponent. I can kill Sky-class mid-phase in one hit too. Then kill me. Let's not go up. Lin Yi said. You think I don't dare? Tian Chan raged. Why aren't you turning around? Haha. Lin Yi smiled and turned around. He had a strange feeling in his heart. Rock Candy was also a Sky-class late-phase peak, but when she was with Lin Yi, she always treated Lin Yi with a cold attitude. But Tian Chan was different. Although she was a master, her personality was like a little girl. Lin Yi felt very happy when he was with her. Tian Chan hesitated for a moment. She untied the yellow silk on her chest and then carefully pulled the neckline to prevent her breasts from being exposed. However, it was impossible. The shape of the clothes was there. Tian Chan could only try to cover her body with the clothes. However, this kind of looming temptation gave Tian Chan a headache. All right, you can turn around now. Tian Chan couldn't come up with a solution after a long time, so she called out to him. Are you deliberately seducing me? Lin Yi looked at Tian Chan and said, don't you know that this kind of feeling makes men go crazy? If you say it again, I will kick you into a eunuch. Tian Chan looked at Lin Yi coldly and said, if you say it again, I will tell you a story about killing the donkey after it has outlived its usefulness. Let's go up the cliff and settle the account. Okay. Lin Yi stopped smiling. He remembered that although the one in front of him was a beautiful woman, she was also a Sky-class late-phase peak expert. She was an existence that could destroy him at any time. Now I will wrap the yellow silk around us. Help me. Okay. Tian Chan nodded. She looked at Lin Yi standing behind her nervously. Her delicate body trembled a little. She wanted Lin Yi not to get too close to her. But thinking about it, how could they be tied if they were too far away? What if they fell off halfway? If she wanted it to be sturdy, she had to be close to her body. Lin Yi took a deep breath. The smell of Tian Chan's body was very good. He didn't know if it was the fragrance of the shower gel or her own body fragrance. It made Lin Yi have an impulse to kiss her. He carefully stood behind Tian Chan. Lin Yi's heavy breath blew on Tian Chan's neck, giving her a strange feeling. It was a little itchy and a little uncomfortable. She couldn't help but say, you don't blow on me. I am breathing normally. If I don't, I will die. Lin Yi said helplessly. Then turn your head. Tian Chan couldn't stand it and said, okay. Lin Yi tilted his head, but his body was directly attached to Tian Chan's body. Tian Chan's delicate body trembled, and she almost screamed. However, it was fine if Tian Chan didn't move. Once she moved, Lin inevitably had a physiological reaction. Chapter 28:13. I'm an Earth class. Where'd I get a weapon? Lin smiled bitterly, not knowing how to explain. All right, we'll just tie the yellow silk around our bodies. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. Tian-chan panicked as she saw Lin trying to change the topic. She reached out to grab it, but realized that something wasn't right. Her face flushed red from her neck to her ears. She pulled her hand back as if she was electrocuted. You pervert! How is this pervert? Lin couldn't help but smile bitterly. This is a natural reflex. It means that you're pretty, and I'm attracted to you. If you look like the 5 Malefic Dragon, it'd be weird if I had a reaction. You're the 5 Malefic Dragon. Tian-chan was embarrassed, but Lin complimenting her beauty made her feel good. Which girl didn't like compliments? Especially when Tian-chan was in the sect. She didn't have a chance like this at all. Haha. All right, don't move. It'll be done in a while. We'll use the yellow silk to tie us up, Lin said. All right then. Tian-chan felt uncomfortable with something poking at her back, but she had to act like she didn't feel anything in order to get back to the peak safely. She took the yellow silk from Lin and wrapped it around her body before giving it back to Lin. Lin took the silk and wrapped it around himself as well before giving it to Tian-chan. The two did this a few times, and finally, they became one person. It was quite similar to when Lin was carrying Xiao Xiao in the Ice Palace. Done. Lin tied a knot on the rope, making sure it wouldn't loosen. He turned to Tian-chan. It's done now. Okay, then I'll prepare to jump. Is there anything else you need to do? Tian-chan asked. Gee. The Sky Thunder Pig pointed at the nail of the 5 Evils dragon on the ground. Are you saying that this is a good thing? Lin was slightly stunned. Previously, he thought that the nails of the 5 Evils dragon were useless, so he casually threw them aside. But looking at the Sky Thunder Pig, it seemed to be a treasure? Gee. The Heavenly Thunder Pig nodded. It's right. Every part of the dragon of 5 Evils is a treasure. Tian-chan explained. This nail belongs to the Earth attribute. It's a heavenly treasure that can strengthen the physique of Earth attribute cultivators. However, it's useless to me. Oh, since it's useful, let's bring it back. Lin said to the Skybolt Pig. Pick it up and carry it on my back. We are leaving. Gee. The Skybolt Pig quickly ran over and picked up the nail with his mouth. Then he jumped onto Lin Yi's body and grabbed onto Lin Yi with all 4 of his limbs. Okay, that's enough. Let's go up. Lin Yi said to Tian-chan. Tian-chan nodded and took a deep breath. Then she said to Lin Yi, then I'll prepare to jump. Be careful. Okay. Lin Yi was tied up by the yellow silk, so he didn't need to hold on to Tian-chan's body. However, his lower body was pressed against Tian-chan, which made Lin Yi blush. However, the more he thought about it, the more he couldn't calm down. This made Lin Yi a little embarrassed, so he could only try not to think about it. Tian-chan couldn't do anything about it. She channeled the mantra and suddenly leaped up towards a cliff. Then, she pushed out her palms and slammed them against the cliff with all her might. Lin Yi could see that this should be the 5 elements Bagua, which was also Tian-chan's strongest move. Although Lin Yi wanted to secretly learn it, he also knew that even if he asked Tian-chan, she wouldn't tell him. Just like how Tian-chan didn't ask why he could heal her. Even if he asked, she wouldn't tell him. Boom! Tian-chan used a lot of strength, but what she left on the cliff was only a shallow mark. It was barely enough for Tian-chan to hold on and prevent her from falling. Then, Tian-chan kicked hard on the cliff with both of her feet. Similarly, she only kicked a shallow mark on the cliff, so that she could temporarily hang there. Lin Yi, I can't do it. When I was dealing with the 5 Evils dragon, my physical strength and true chi were almost used up. I just ate something and it was better, but after I used this move, my body has no physical strength and true chi at all. Tian-chan hurriedly said to Lin, I can't hold on for long. This position is very uncomfortable. Quickly help me replenish my physical strength and true chi. Okay. Lin Yi did not dare to be negligent. He hurriedly used the mantra of the heavenly spring rain. However, it was still a bit difficult for Lin Yi to use this position, but he finally succeeded. Heavenly Spring Rain, the fifth move. The first move of the Heavenly Spring Rain could transfer true chi to one person. The second move could transfer true chi to two people, and the fifth move could transfer true chi to 5 people. Right now, there was only Tian-chan beside Lin Yi. Using the fifth move was equivalent to transferring 5 portions of true chi to Tian-chan at the same time. This way, the physical strength and true chi in Lin Yi's body could be transferred to Tian-chan quickly. On Lin Yi's hands, a light blue mist of true chi suddenly appeared. Then, as Lin Yi activated the martial skill, the light blue true chi suddenly left Lin Yi's hands and floated in the air. Then, like spring rain, it poured into Tian-chan's body. In an instant, Tian-chan felt that her physical strength and true chi were quickly restored. It didn't take long for Lin Yi's physical strength and true chi to completely enter Tian-chan's body, and Lin Yi became a weak person. "It's really magical," Tian-chan said with a sigh. "I really didn't expect this martial skill to be so magical. My physical strength and true chi suddenly became a lot more abundant. Although it's not at its peak, it's not a problem to jump 2 more times. That's good." After using the Heavenly Spring Rain, Lin Yi didn't care about anything else. He quickly entered the Jade Space and activated the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery to recover the physical strength and true chi that he had lost. After resting for a while, Tian-chan jumped up again, this time to a higher altitude. She activated the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm, and so on, behind the 5 Fiends Mountains, the 5 Fiends Barren Grounds. Naipeo was very lucky. The place he was teleported to was the closest to a safe place. Chapter 28:14. This safe place was marked out on the map, but any practitioner with a bit of intelligence could tell that it was a natural moat. It didn't matter if it was a beast or a bird, they wouldn't be able to get in here. Spirit beasts were usually bigger, and they didn't have much attack power. As long as a practitioner hid here, no spirit beast would be able to harm them. Mo Ba found this place pretty quickly. The two met up on the first night of the test. "Gunslinger, did you get the elixir for the test?" Mo Ba asked. "No, there's none nearby, and I didn't look for it." "Wait, this place is pretty obvious. It won't be long before other practitioners find their way here, and we'll just take it for ourselves then," Naipeo said faintly. "You're right. With Gunslinger's abilities and skills, he wouldn't need to go find it himself at all. Only an idiot would go find it himself," Mo Ba said respectfully. "Let's rest for a bit," Naipeo said faintly. "The chi here is quite thick. I'll train for a bit." "Gunslinger, didn't they say that the 5's malevolence is harmful to practitioners? Why are you?" Mo Ba said, startled. "Haha, look at what kind of arts I'm practicing, my wasp absorption arts. What chi can I absorb? As long as it's chi, it doesn't matter if it's 5's malevolence chi or even poison." Naipeo laughed casually. "This place is perfect for me to train, and I'll take some time to consolidate my strength." And so, Naipeo trained while Mo Ba stood guard beside him. Their luck wasn't that good, however, as they didn't see a single practitioner the whole time. Mo Ba couldn't help but panic. "Liang bro, something's not right. We've been waiting for so long. Why haven't we seen a single practitioner? How long has it been?" "Let's wait. There's no need to rush," Naipeo said calmly. Naipeo hadn't even finished his words when he heard voices coming from outside the safe place. Someone was coming. "Master Yang, we're really lucky. There's a place here that looks pretty good. We can avoid the attacks of spirit beasts," the person outside said. "Indeed, we can hide here and rest for a while before rushing to the teleportation array," the person called Young Hero Yang said. He was an expert from the Flame Mountain and was a peak mid-stage heaven rank expert. The one who spoke to him was an Earth-class mid-phase master from the Dark Palace, and the other one who didn't speak was also an Earth-class early-phase master from the Dark Palace. Both of them were just there to carry young Hero Yang's shoes, but following behind a peak heaven-class mid-phase master could greatly reduce the danger. Look, they had met a mystic-class spirit beast earlier, It was beaten away by young Hero Yang. Although they didn't have much of an advantage, if these two Earth-class masters from the Dark Palace went up against it, then even if they didn't die, they would be heavily injured. Moreover, with young Hero Yang's protection, they were able to successfully collect the Trials Elixir. Although there was only one for each of them, it was already very good. If the two of them were to act alone, they might not be able to collect the elixir and might even lose their lives. After you, young Hero Yang, disciple A said, and made a gesture of invitation. Young Hero Yang nodded and led the way into the safe area. However, he paused when he went in. He saw Nai Peo and his follower Imoba here as well. But young Hero Yang wasn't too afraid. As far as he was concerned, he was a Sky-class mid-phase peak after all, and as long as he didn't provoke Nai Peo, then Zhang Nai Peo wouldn't do anything to him. The two disciples from the Dark Palace followed young Hero Yang in, and they too paused when they saw Nai Peo. They were a little fearful, but remembering that Nai Peo was only a Sky-class early phase, and his follower Imoba mid-phase, while young Hero Yang was a Sky-class mid-phase peak, they calmed down. The three of you seem to be very satisfied with your harvest? Imoba grinned and suddenly asked the three of them. What do you mean? Disciple B turned around a little wary. It's nothing. Hand over the elixir, and Gunslinger will let you live. Imoba said faintly. Hand it over? Why? Disciple B was startled. He came with a mission this time. He needed to get a chi gathering pill from the Sky Elixir sect, allowing the sect master to level up from Earth-class late phase peak to Sky-class early phase. This was the last chance, and while the chi gathering pill had its drawbacks, the drawbacks would disappear once the inheritance was mastered, and there would be no more barriers to leveling up. The time for that plan was getting closer and closer, and if the Dark Palace wanted a piece of the pie, they had to hurry. The problem now was that the sect master Yi Wana hadn't broken through to Sky class yet, and the higher the strength, the higher the chance of mastering the inheritance. The Dark Palace had no other choice but to resort to this. Why? Because Gunslinger can decide your life and death. Imoba humphed coldly. If Gunslinger wants you to live, you'll live. If he wants you to die, you'll die. Aren't you being too overbearing? Disciple B couldn't help but say. Overbearing? From a moment you stepped into the ranks of practitioners, you should know what it means to be the strong preying on the weak. Isn't it a little too late to talk about overbearing now? Imoba said with disdain. All right, we're all here for the test, and I don't want to hurt our friends. Our gunslinger's principle is hand over the item, and we won't kill you. If you want to live, then do it quickly. If you want to die, then I won't stop you. You. Disciple B was about to say something when the other disciple, A, pulled him back. He gestured to Disciple B to see what young Warrior Yang had to say. The strongest person here was young Warrior Yang, and the two of them were only Earth classes. They didn't have much say here. Hero Yang, you mean? Dark Palace disciple A looked at Fire Mountain's Hero Yang. Zhang Nai Peo, don't push yourself. If we really fight, I'm not scared of you. I'm a Sky-class mid-phase peak, different from that 2 Junlong early-phase peak. Yang was quite pissed as well. He'd been flattered by the first and second disciples on the way here, and now that he was being robbed by Nai Peo, it was only natural that he wasn't happy about it, especially in front of his 2 followers. How could he back down? Chapter 28:15. Not scared? Then I'll stand here and let you hit me. Let's see what you can do. Nai Peo laughed as he looked at Yang in disdain. I'm not trying to brag, but even if I told you to hit me, you wouldn't be able to do anything to me. Is that true? You're not going to do anything? Yang knew how Tuta got hurt, but he didn't believe that Nai Peo would just stand there and let him hit him. Why would he be scared? As far as he was concerned, he'd be fine as long as he didn't touch him. He'd heard of Nai Peo's achievements in the Ice Palace, and he knew that Nai Peo had a skill called the Wasp Absorption Arts, which allowed him to absorb the practitioner's strength for his own use. It was probably the same thing right now. Tutuo was injured because his hand touched Nai Peo's body, and he had to avoid that problem. Of course, Nai Peo said faintly, with your strength, you're not worthy of me doing it myself. All right, if that's the case, Then don't blame me for what I'm about to do. Yang calmed down after hearing Naipeo's words. With a wave of his hand, a ring appeared on his waist, and he started chanting some sort of art. The ring turned bright red, and a ring of fire started burning on it. This was young Hero Yang's heaven-step divine weapon. He came from the Blazing Mountain, and although he wasn't the young master of the Blazing Mountain, he was still a direct descendant of the Blazing Mountain and would become an elder in the future. Therefore, the Blazing Mountain sect had bestowed him a heaven-step divine weapon. Die! Yang's eyes flashed fiercely as the ring of fire in his hand exploded with energy, smashing towards Naipeo's head, blazing 3 rings, 15th form. He used his strongest technique right from the get-go, the 15th form of Sky Class, and he even used a Sky Class weapon to amplify the power of his technique. Evidently, he wanted to kill Naipeo in one hit. In the training grounds, death was death. The Sky Elixir sect only asked that people not be killed in the inn, but not in the training grounds. They only said to try to avoid conflict, but whether or not there was conflict was up to the practitioner themselves. This was also why Naipeo dared to rob them. Naipeo, on the other hand, didn't move at all. Of course, his practitioner's arts were still channeling. It was his first time facing a Sky Class mid-phase peak, but back when he was an Earth Class late-phase peak, the highest level he could kill was a Sky Class mid-phase. Now that he was a Sky Class early phase, the highest level he could kill would naturally increase as well. Killing a Sky Class mid-phase peak in one hit was still possible. Boom! The ring of fire smashed into Naipeo's head, and a bone-deep wound appeared on his head. Blood flowed profusely, and if it weren't for the chi protecting his body, he would have been smashed to death. Mo Ba, on the side, quickly took out a pill and stuffed it into Naipeo's mouth. Naipeo had to channel his arts for a while before he fully recovered. The wound on his head had already scabbed over. Phew! Naipeo took in a deep breath. A Sky Class mid-phase peak was indeed not to be underestimated. Fortunately, he had his arts protecting his body, and the opponent's skill couldn't fully hit him. Otherwise, he would have been heavily injured if not dead. Master Yang cried out. He felt a strong force coming from his ring of fire, and while the ring was still in his hand, the power of the ring hit his body directly. All of a sudden, a huge wound appeared on young Hero Yang's body. It was as if he had been smashed by the ring of flames. It was huge, and his ribs and internal organs had been crushed. After young Hero Yang screamed, he struggled for a while and fell to the ground. There was no movement, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. The 2 disciples of the Dark Palace were dumbfounded. In their eyes, the high and mighty Sky Class mid-phase peak was dead, just like that. This Master Yang, who they had been praising and praising, couldn't even withstand a single blow? Or rather, Master Yang didn't even make a move and only hit Naipeo once. Naipeo didn't die, and he was the one who died. This was unbelievable. But the disciples of the Dark Palace were the best at changing their minds. Seeing that their backer was dead, they changed their minds. Disciple quickly took out a box of elixir from his pocket and gave it to Mo Ba. Gunslinger, this is the elixir for the test. Please accept it. Gunslinger is so strong, so strong. We followed the wrong person, Gunslinger. Gunslinger, please take us as your followers. We'll serve you well. Disciple B said quickly. Right, Master Yang. No, I have elixir here as well. Gunslinger, I'll find it for you. With that, Disciple A found a box from Master Yang's corpse and gave it to Mo Ba. Mo Ba didn't take it, turning to Naipeo instead. Killing these 2 was up to Naipeo, and Mo Ba couldn't make the decision himself. Since you 2 are so sincere, then give it to me. Naipeo looked at the 2 boxes and said to Mo Ba, Take it. Yes, Gunslinger. Mo Ba said as he accepted the boxes. Then we, Disciple A and Disciple B said quickly. Perfect, I'm lacking some people. If someone else comes in later, tell them what Mo Ba said, so we don't have to repeat it. Naipeo said faintly, but I won't mistreat you guys. If someone else comes in later and gets another elixir, I'll give it to you. 2 is enough for me. Thank you, Gunslinger. Gunslinger is so strong. Disciple A and Disciple B said gratefully. Maybe if there's more, I'll give you guys one more. I won't let anyone who follows me suffer, Naipeo said with a wave of his hand. He was a loyal man, and he was loyal to Pinliang as well as his followers. It was just that they followed the wrong master. Thank you so much. Gunslinger, you're the best. Disciple A and Disciple B said. Chapter 28:16. Yes, pal bro. The two disciples of the Dark Palace quickly replied. And so, Naipeo sat cross-legged on the ground and practiced, with Ba guarding him. The disciples of the Dark Palace stood at the entrance, waiting for more participants to come. Sure enough, not long after, he heard voices coming from outside again. If Lin Yi was here, he'd be able to tell that it was Li Siba and Zhao Qikuan from the Holy Fist Palace. The two of them met on the way to a safe place. Although they were teleported to different places, the general direction was similar, so when they rushed to a safe place, they coincidentally walked together. The two of them were very excited when they saw the safe place on the map. After all, they had gotten the elixir and came here without a hitch. It was something worth celebrating, especially Zhao Qikuan. He didn't even think that he would be able to get the elixir, nor did he think that he would be able to find a safe place without a hitch. All of this made him feel very lucky. We're finally here, Li bro. I wonder if the others are here. Zhao Qikuan sighed as he came to the safe place. Yeah, I don't know. Let's go take a look first, Li Siba said. With that, the two of them entered the safe place. But when they saw the two Dark Palace disciples guarding the entrance of the safe place, they were obviously stunned. You guys are? Li Siba recognized the two disciples from the Dark Palace and asked curiously. You're here to rest, right? The Dark Palace disciple embarked. We're Gunslinger Naipeo's underlings. We can rest here, but you must hand over the elixir. Of course, if you don't have the elixir, then scram. Li Siba wasn't too happy with the arrogant attitude of the Dark Palace disciple, but when he heard that they were Naipeo's underlings, his face froze. Naipeo was here. He and Zhao Qikuan raised their heads and looked in. Indeed, Naipeo was sitting on the ground practicing, and beside him was his underling Ba. Not far away, there was a corpse. Wasn't that young Master Yang from Blazing Mountain? Li Siba, naturally, wasn't a stranger to this. His lips twitched a couple of times. It seemed that Master Yang had fallen into Naipeo's trap as well, getting into a conflict with him here. It seemed that Naipeo had finished him off. Qikuan was weak, and Lin Yi wasn't here. Naturally, he listened to Li Siba. He looked up at Li Siba, not knowing what to do. Qikuan had been quite happy. He thought that he could finally relax after reaching a safe place. But who would have thought that he'd run into Naipeo here? Li Siba was the same as well. This was what it meant when enemies met. His fellow disciples were crippled by Zhang Naipeo and were carried back to the sect before they could even participate in the test. But now that Lin Yi wasn't here, Li Siba had no one to rely on. He wasn't an idiot. Going against Naipeo at a time like this wouldn't do him any good. After some hesitation, he said, All right, we'll give the elixir to Gunslinger and rest here. At least you know what's good for you. Disciple A laughed heartily as he took the elixir from Li Siba and Qikuan, handing it over to Naipeo. Naipeo saw that the two had handed over the elixir obediently and didn't make things difficult for them. He had the ability to kill them, but there would be a price to pay. The wasp absorption art was strong, but it could only absorb the energy of practitioners below Earth class. Those above Earth class would die easily if they used it. And so, Naipeo wouldn't use it so casually, especially after what Lin Yi had done to him. What he was relying on now was his other mystical technique. Of course, this technique was powerful, but it was also a self-destructive move. If it were possible, Naipeo wouldn't use it so casually. He'd just use it as a deterrent. Plus, he'd just been injured, and getting injured again wouldn't be good for him. As for his ultimate skill, he didn't plan on using it. That was his trump card, and he wouldn't use it unless he absolutely had to. Putting aside the fact that using it would expose his ultimate skill, just using it once would use up a lot of chi and stamina. And so, Naipeo chose to let Li Siba and Chikuin go. But he could still mock them a little. Naipeo looked at Lee Siba and Chikuin, mocking them faintly. Don't think that you'll be fine just because you're on Lin Yi's side. I want Lin Yi dead as well. Don't even think that he'll be able to avenge you. It's useless. Lee Siba and Chikuin looked at each other, not retorting. There was no point in doing so right now. They had to wait for Lin Yi to come and fight back. Otherwise, no matter what they said, it wouldn't change anything. Plus, Lee Siba and Chikuin's main goal right now was to stay alive. Retorting a little might be satisfying, but it wouldn't be worth it if they got killed. Naipeo saw that the two were silent, and he didn't say anything else. He turned to Demon 8. We have 4 herbs now, right? Yes, Gunslinger, Demon 8 said respectfully. Naipeo nodded and took out another herb from his bag, handing it to Demon 8. Give this back to the disciples of Dark Palace. They used to be the followers of that Yang from Fiery Mountain, but they've changed their ways, and became Naipeo's followers. Naipeo, have always taken good care of my followers. They'll benefit greatly if they follow me. The 2 disciples thought that Naipeo was just saying it casually, not expecting him to put it into action so quickly. They were overjoyed. Disciple A said gratefully, Thank you, Gunslinger. It's great to follow Gunslinger. Yeah, it's much better than following that Lin Yi. Look at those 2. They're in such a miserable state. Disciple B said flatteringly. Naipeo was doing this for Lee Siba and Chikuin to see as well. He didn't say it out loud, and was just about to drop a hint when Night Palace Disciple B said it for himself. It made him very happy. Chapter 28:17. And so, he used the hint to tell Lee Siba and Chikuin that he was taking care of his followers. These 2 might have been Master Yang's followers before, but now that they were with Naipeo would let bygones be bygones and still take care of them. Lee Siba and Chikuin, on the other hand, would receive the same treatment if they joined Naipeo. Chikuin and Lee Siba, however, didn't care at all. The 2 thought to themselves that these 2 from Dark Palace didn't know the difference between Lin Yi and Naipeo. That was why they were following Naipeo. They knew that Lin Yi was stronger than Naipeo. Wasn't following Naipeo the same as well? Naipeo saw that Siba and Chikuin didn't have any reaction, so he didn't say anything else. He'd already hinted at it. It was very obvious. Naipeo didn't want to keep talking about it. There would be other practitioners coming soon anyway. He'd just have to scare them a bit more, and they'd be on his side. After a while, a lone cultivator came looking for him. This lone cultivator was a guest cultivator from the Endless West Sea. He had the strength of a heaven-class early stage, but he came alone and didn't have any pills. He wanted to hide and rest here, but was stopped by 2 disciples of the Dark Palace. When the freelancer found out that Naipeo was robbing here, he didn't even dare say a fart before leaving, knowing that he wasn't strong enough. Ordinary rogue cultivators, even if they were affiliated with a sect or family, would not dare to be too arrogant. They would be careful when doing things, unlike the direct descendants of sects and families who had backing. Their strength had not come easily, so they did not dare to easily provoke stronger people. Lee Siba and Chikuin didn't say anything about the freelancer leaving. They didn't have the ability to stand up for others, and it was already good enough that they could protect themselves. After who knew how long, 2 more people came to the safe area. These 2 were Feng Shipian and Gu Xian, who had met Lee Siba and Chikuin on the way here. They were very happy to see Lee Siba and Chikuin, but Naipeo's presence made them hand over their herbs. They only had 1, but Naipeo didn't say anything and let them rest. Perhaps Naipeo still hadn't given up on Lin Yi's followers. He was waiting for an opportunity, a chance to shock and conquer Lin Yi's followers. This would be the biggest blow to Lin Yi's confidence. In actuality, with Feng Shipian and Lee Siba, these 2 sky-class masters, they weren't weaker than Naipeo's group in terms of strength, but Naipeo's techniques were just too weird, and those who hit him would get injured for no reason. So, Feng Shipian and Lee Siba chose to stay silent and not fight with Naipeo. In fact, they were all waiting for Lin Yi. Without Lin Yi here, even if they were sky-class, they wouldn't dare make a move. The four sat in a corner of the safe area. They didn't talk to Naipeo, and Naipeo, on the other hand, didn't seem to be looking for trouble. It seemed like they were safe for now. Where's Yang Chi-Chi? Have you guys seen her? Chikuin knew Lin better. He knew that if Yang Chi-Chi had nothing to do with Lin, he wouldn't bother with her time and time again. Especially since this girl was always biting the hand that fed her. Chikuin felt that there had to be something between the two, and that was why he was worried about her. Yang Chi-Chi didn't see her. Feng Shipian shook his head, and Guxian shook her head as well. I wonder how she's doing. She's a girl. I hope nothing bad happens to her. Chikuin sighed. They were talking when footsteps came from outside the safe place. After a while, someone walked in. Who else could it be if it wasn't the Yang Chi-Chi they were looking for? Chikuin was overjoyed. Chi-Chi, you're here too? That's great, we're all here. We're just missing the boss. But before Chi-Chi could reply, Disciple A spoke up coldly. This is Gunslinger Zhang's turf. If you want to rest here, you'll have to hand in your medicine. Otherwise, I'm sorry, but you'll have to leave. Medicine? Chi-Chi blinked. I don't have it. Why is this Zhang Naipeo's turf? Isn't this? Our pal bro was the first to arrive here, so of course he'll take over this place. If you want to come, then hand over your trial elixir. If you don't want to come, then scram. Disciple A said coldly. She's with us. She's just a girl. Why are you making things difficult for her? Feng Shipian couldn't take it anymore. He stood up and turned to the two disciples. We're giving you our medicine. Isn't that enough? You guys are yours, she's hers. Disciple B had Zhang Naipeo backing him up, so he didn't put Feng Shipian in his eyes at all. This is a rule set by Gunslinger. We can't treat people differently because of their genders. If you don't like it, you can talk to Gunslinger. Feng Shipian's face was green as he looked at Naipeo, not daring to get angry. Zhang Naipeo, you're strong, but you don't have to do this, do you? What's wrong with me? Do I need to be kind to the followers of my enemies? They're not my followers. Naipeo said disdainfully. If you were my followers, then I'd make an exception, but you're not at all. What right do you have to talk to me about this? All right, if she insists on coming in, then I'll have to kill her. This is a rule I set, and I can't change it. You? Feng Shipian was speechless. He hesitated. Then I'll switch with her? Okay. I'll leave and let her come. There's such a thing as switching. Once this precedent was set, the people who came later would be replaced one by one. Once they had enough rest, they would be replaced by the next. Would I still be able to do this business without any capital? Are you an idiot? Naipeo denied it right away. Don't say stuff like that. Forget it. I was planning on going somewhere else anyway. Since Linny isn't here, I'll be going. Chi-Chi was pissed off at Naipeo's face, but she'd been getting bullied since she got here, so she was used to it. Chapter 28:18. No, I have other important things to do. That's why I'm here. Chi-Chi said. Then, where are you going? I'll tell Brother Lin when he comes back. Feng Shipian didn't have a choice. He couldn't make Chi-Chi stay, but leaving was the best solution. Otherwise, he really wouldn't know what to say to Naipeo. Did he really have to change sides and call Naipeo boss? 5 Fiends Mountains. Chi-Chi said, I'm actually here to tell you guys something. Chi-Chi's goal here wasn't to get the herbs, but to get to the 5 Fiends Mountains. Through a special channel, she knew about the existence of the 5 Fiends Dragon. It was a spirit beast of the 5 elements, and every part of its body was a treasure. What she wanted was the scale of the claw of the 5 Fiends Dragon. It was an earth element herb. At first, Chi-Chi didn't know how to get to the 5 Fiends Mountains. After all, the 5 Fiends Barrens was a huge place, and Chi-Chi was completely clueless. But with Lin Yi's map, Chi-Chi could quickly lock onto the direction of the 5 Fiends Mountains. There was a clear mark on the map. Chi-Chi came to a safe place, but it was just along the way. She was planning to look for Lin Yi and see if he could come with her. It'd increase her chances of getting the scale, but Lin Yi wasn't here. She had to go alone. One was that Naipeo wouldn't let her in, and 2 was that she didn't know when Lin Yi would be back. There was a time limit to the test, and it had been 4 days already. She didn't want to waste any more time. Plus, Even if Lin Yi came back, he might not come with her to the Five Fiends Mountains. After all, she wasn't anyone to Lin Yi, and Lin Yi didn't need to go with her. And so Chi-Chi gritted her teeth and made her decision. She'd go to the Five Fiends Mountains alone. This was actually a lot better than what she'd planned. At least she wouldn't get lost with a map. Five Fiends Mountains? What is that place? Feng Shipian was stunned. He did not study the map carefully, and the Five Fiend Mountain range was the opposite of where he was previously, so Feng Shipian did not pay much attention to it. I know. The Five Fiends Mountain range is very dangerous. Why are you going there? Gu Xian carefully studied the map and knew that the Five Fiend Mountain range was marked as an extremely dangerous place. There's something I need to find, Chi-Chi said. All right, I'll be going first. If Lin Yi comes back, please thank him for me. All right. Feng Shipian didn't feel safe letting Chi-Chi go alone, but the truth was that the Five Fiends Wildlands was full of danger. The spirit beasts here could kill him in one shot, and even if he went with Gu Xian, Li Siba, and Qikuan, they wouldn't be able to handle the danger. Therefore, Feng Shipian chose to stay here and continue to wait for Lin Yi. Chi-Chi left, and Naipeo didn't stop her. Qikuan was worried as well, but there was nothing he could do. He could only wait for Lin Yi to come back as soon as possible. A day passed quickly, and the next morning, 2 more practitioners found a safe place. But this time, it was a disciple from the ancient Dongfang clan, an expert with the strength of a heaven-rank late phase peak. Of course, his strength wasn't visible to the 2 disciples of the Dark Palace. When Dongfang Bushu brought his follower to a safe place, Disciple A said as if it was a routine matter. This is Gunslinger Zhang's turf. If you want to rest here, you must hand me your medicine. Otherwise, I'm sorry, but you'll have to leave. Slap. What Disciple A got in return wasn't an answer, but a huge slap to the face, sending him tumbling backwards. Blood poured out his ears. Evidently, this wasn't a light slap. One had to know that this was a Sky-class late-phase peak. Even casual slap would be quite powerful. Shut up. Who do you think you are? Watchdog. Zhang Naipeo? Who the hell is Zhang Naipeo? I'll rest here if I want to, and it's not up to you to tell me if I don't want to. You want me to hand him my medicine? Dongfang Bushu glared. Zhang Naipeo, is it? Hand over all of your spiritual herbs to me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Dongfang Bushu was arrogant, but he had the right to be arrogant. He was an expert at the peak of the late phase of Heaven class, which was the highest level below the Heavenly Tao. Even though he hadn't reached the great perfection, he was someone who looked down on all cultivators. He was as powerful as he could be. Now that he was being robbed by a mere Earth class from the Dark Palace, he was quite displeased. It was only now that Dongfang Bushu's Sky-class late-phase peak was revealed. The other disciple bee jumped in fright and quickly hid to the side, not daring to make sound. Naipeo frowned as well. He didn't think that there would be an Earth-class late-phase peak here. He was already feeling a bit weak against that Sky-class mid-phase peak Master Yang before, and if it wasn't for the little recovery pill and his practitioner's arts, he probably wouldn't be able to win at all. But now, this Dongfang Bushu was a Sky-class late-phase peak, and Naipeo really didn't have the confidence to take him down. After all, he might get hurt or even die if he hit him, but Naipeo himself might die as well. A Sky-class late-phase peaks technique wasn't something to be messed with. The 2 of them might die at the same time, and Naipeo didn't dare test it out. Plus, Naipeo's wounds weren't completely healed yet, and if he were to get hurt again, he might really die here. So without a choice, Naipeo had to use his ultimate move. He was planning on using this on Lin Yi, but if he didn't use it on this Dongfang Bushu, then he wouldn't be able to save himself. Dongfang Bushu, right? Ha, that's a good name, but it's a waste to use it on you. It should be me. Naipeo finished his training and stood up. All right, I've decided. After I kill you, I'll be called Dongfang Bushu. Chapter 28:19. Cough, cough. Naipeo almost fainted from coughing after hearing the words. Didn't Dongfang Booby castrate himself? How come he has a great-grandson like you? Oh, it's normal. I'm from Dongfang Booby's cousin's branch. Dongfang Booby explained, his face red. In actuality, the current head of the house, Dongfang Chaochuan, didn't know if Dongfang Booby had anything to do with them or not, but the ancient Dongfang house was using this identity as a descendant of Dongfang Booby to scare people off. Oh, I thought you had the secret to making babies. Naipeo said, a little disinterested. That heaven and earth grand shift you're talking about, I've only seen it on TV. I don't practice heaven and earth grand shift. I don't care if you do or not. Don't worry, I won't attack you first. I'll take care of your followers right now, and as long as I don't attack you, your heaven and earth grand shift won't work on me. Dongfang Booby was certain that Naipeo practiced heaven and earth grand shift. Oh, all right. How about I hit you first? Naipeo said without a change in expression. You hit me? Come on, as long as you can do anything to me. Dongfang Booby curled his lips, evidently not taking a sky class like Naipeo seriously at all. You're the one who told me to. Naipeo humphed coldly. Don't blame me for not reminding you. You're just a sky class early phase, so what if I let you hit me first? Dongfang Booby said. Dark Hell Demon Fist. Naipeo quickly channeled his practitioner's arts and made a weird hand seal before punching out at Dongfang Booby's head. Dongfang Booby had been on guard the entire time, channeling his practitioner's arts and using his chi to protect himself. He was also ready to dodge at any moment, and when he saw Naipeo's fist coming at him, he took 2 steps back, wanting to dodge. What he didn't expect was for Naipeo to stop already, and his fist stopped in midair. But just as Dongfang Bulu was wondering what Naipeo was doing, the chi on his fist didn't stop at all. It went straight into Dongfang Bulu's mind. Ah! Dongfang Booby immediately roared. His eyes turned crimson, and his hands started waving around crazily. As if he was greatly stimulated, he suddenly knelt on the ground and used his hands to pull at his hair. Then he suddenly jumped up and spun around on the spot. Young Master Dongfang, what's wrong with you? His follower was shocked by Dongfang Bushu's strange behavior. He asked in alarm. Dongfang Bulu didn't answer at all. He just shook off his follower, causing the follower to stumble and almost fall to the ground to his death. His follower was only an earth class mid-phase. How could he withstand that? However, this follower had the heavy responsibility of accompanying Dongfang Bulu. If anything happened to Dongfang Bulu during the trial, then he would not have a good time when he returned to the Dongfang family. He was only an ordinary disciple of the Dongfang family. Plop! Dongfang Bulu actually knelt on the ground and started kowtowing. Other than Naipeo, everyone present was very surprised. Just what was going on with him? Dongfang Bulu kept kowtowing as he shouted some unknown incantation. All of a sudden, Dongfang Bulu turned around and ran out of the safe area, rushing outside. Who knew what he was going to do? The follower was startled and hurriedly ran after him. In the end, he saw Dongfang Bu Sheng rushing towards a large spirit beast that was crawling on the ground. When the crawling spirit beast saw Dongfang Bu Lu rushing over, especially when it sensed his peak late-stage heaven-rank strength, it immediately became vigilant. It looked at the approaching Dongfang Bu Lu and roared. Roar! However, Dongfang Bu Lu didn't seem to hear the spirit beast's roar as he rushed towards it. This situation shocked the people in the safe area. That was a huge spirit beast. Not even a sky-class late-phase peak full circle would be a match for it, let alone Dongfang Bu Lu. As expected, the follower watched as the spirit beast swung its tail and smacked Dongfang Bu Lu to the ground. How powerful was that crawling spirit beast? Dongfang Bu Lu twitched a little after being smacked to the ground, and his eyes rolled back as he went to the west to seek for scriptures. This scene was witnessed by the people in the safe place. Because it was a straight line, even if they were in the safe place, they could see it clearly through the entrance. This made the people in the safe place feel a chill down their spines. If one were to say that Master Yang killing Naipeo after hitting him was a weird thing, then what was happening right now was even more unbelievable. He didn't know what technique Naipeo used, but it was as if Dongfang Bushua had gone insane, charging to the Spirit B-side and getting beaten to death. Dongfang Bushu's followers stared blankly at the scene in front of him, not knowing what to do. Dongfang Bushu was dead, and he didn't know what to do. At this moment, his mind was blank. He only thought of running away or dying together with Dongfang Bushu. However, the followers' rationality and loyalty made him wait for the spiritual beast to leave before he carefully collected Dongfang Bushu's corpse. He then slowly walked towards the teleportation formation. If he had known this would happen, he would not have chosen to rest in a safe place with Dongfang Bushu. Even if he had to forcefully persuade him, he would have made Dongfang Bushu leave this place. But there was no medicine for regret in this world, and the follower couldn't do anything about it. Whether or not he could reach the teleportation circle safely with the body was another matter, but no matter what, he did his best. After collecting the body, he didn't even look back at the safe area and didn't dare say anything to Naipeo. Naipeo was just too strong. After all, a Sky-class late-phase peak had died in such a strange way. "You overestimate yourself," Naipeo said faintly. Naipeo said faintly as he turned to Imo Ba. "Imo Ba, give our friend from the Dark Palace a small recovery pill. He's injured as well." Chapter 28:20. Feng Shipian and Li Siba looked at each other, not saying anything. They knew that Naipeo was trying to win their hearts, but Feng Shipian wasn't the type of person to go back on his word. He wouldn't go over to Naipeo's side right now. After Chi-Chi left, everyone was in a safe place. Naipeo wanted Feng Shipian to go over to his side, but he didn't threaten him. If he did, he wouldn't be able to hurt Lin Yi, and that would be pointless. He didn't need people like Feng Shipian anymore. He had a lot of them in the everyday sect, so why would he need people like Feng Shipian? He just wanted to hurt Lin Yi. In truth, Feng Shipian and Li Siba had missed a golden opportunity. Naipeo was extremely weak right now, and after using that Dark Demon Fist, he'd used up all of his chi and stamina. He'd need some time to recuperate, and there was no way he could fight again. He was completely defenseless right now, and even a golden class could kill him in one hit. This was the biggest flaw of this ultimate technique. If there was no need, he would absolutely not use it. Of course, this was also a common flaw of some ancient heaven-defying martial skills. Otherwise, if a cultivator mastered this heaven-defying martial skill, then he could challenge many experts by himself. Then, the balance of the cultivation world would be lost. Right now, Naipeo's technique was completely based on the fact that he wasn't on the same level as everyone else. After killing Dongfang Balu, it was a huge shock to the others, and no one dared to fight him. This gave him time to recover. If he hadn't been hit by young hero Yang, he wouldn't have been in such a sorry state. At least after using the Dark Demon Fist, he still had some stamina. He wouldn't have been killed by a Huang-class cultivator. At the very least, only a cultivator of the same level could kill him. However, because of young hero Yang's move, he had already wasted a lot of his true chi. Before he had fully recovered, Dongfang Buliyu had come and caused the current situation. Naipeo's heart was beating like a drum, but he didn't show any fear in front of Chi-Chi. He was still as strong as ever, and Feng Shipian and Li Siba didn't dare do anything rash. Naipeo and Demon 8 would have been dead by now. But it wasn't their fault. They didn't have a golden finger. They weren't like Lin Yi, who could tell if Naipeo's chi was full or not. It wasn't until Naipeo's chi had recovered enough for him to use the Dark Demon Fist again that a smile of relief appeared on Naipeo's face for a brief moment. In the CEO office of the Liu family's company in Beijing, Tianli was in the middle of correcting reports, and his smoking cravings kicked in. He reached for the box of cigarettes on the corner of the table, only to realize that the pack was empty. Secretary Zhang. Tianli pressed the call button for the secretary's office. "Bring me another pack of cigarettes." "President Liu, what brand do you use?" "There are some things I want to talk to you about as well," Mr. Lang said. "All right, I'll be waiting for you in my office," Tianli quickly said as soon as he heard that there was hope. If Tianli had X-ray vision, he'd be shocked. That Mr. Lang was always standing like a slave beside a young man who was sitting in a boss chair. That young man was probably the boss behind the scenes. Chapter 28-21. This young man was none other than Jiang Wen, who had been depressed for a long time. He was held back by many people in East Ocean City. Now that he had a good opportunity, he came to Yinjing City and started his business of swindling people without any capital. Good job, little Chunhu. Big Scorpion didn't come this time, and you can handle things on your own now. Mr. Lang, you're really good at acting. Jiang Wen nodded in satisfaction. Haha, that's all thanks to Master Wen's help. Plus, without the help of the hypnotist, Lu Tianli wouldn't have gotten hooked so easily. At the very least, he'd be suspicious of the cigarettes. Mr. Lang, or little Chunhu, said respectfully. And go. Today is the first step of our plan. Jiang Wen said to little Chunhu dash, yes, Master One. Little Chunhu replied and went to Lu Tianli's company with Chui Mianshi. Jiang Wen, on the other hand, smiled coldly as he watched the two leave. Lin, who wasn't in Donghai right now, and this was Yinjing. No matter how capable Lin he was, he wouldn't be able to guess that he was the mastermind behind this. Little Chunhu and Chui Mianshi came to Lu Tianli's company together, and Lu Tianli couldn't wait to welcome them in the company's guest room. Mr. Lang, Assistant Chui, welcome. Lu Tianli's craving for cigarettes had reached a point where he couldn't sit still anymore. He looked at the bag in Chui Mianshi's hand, wanting to ask, but feeling a little embarrassed. Mr. Lu, I'm sorry. This is the last carton of cigarettes left. I didn't think that this thing would be so popular. My old friends got one each, and we're pretty much done with it. You got quite a lot, and the others only got one. Little Chunhu shrugged helplessly. Mr. Lang, the last carton. Lu Tianli couldn't hold back his craving anymore. He had smoked cigarettes before, but he never got addicted to them. This time was different. He felt a little strange, but the craving was quickly pushed to the back of his mind. I've brought it. Mr. Lang, let's talk about something first. Don't worry, I'll leave the cigarettes for you in the end. You're not in a hurry, are you? Xiaochun patted Tianli's shoulder with a smile. Okay, Tianli thought. Why wasn't he in a hurry? I'm about to die from anxiety. However, he couldn't say that. He was the CEO of the group. How could he say something like that? Wouldn't that be a joke? So even if Tianli wanted to smoke, he had to hold it in. He made an inviting gesture. Mr. Lang, Secretary Chui, please have a seat. I wonder what you guys are here to discuss with me this time. Chief Lu, I'm here to discuss a business deal with you, Xiaochun said. Business? Tianli paused. Mr. Lang, didn't we just sign the contract? Didn't we already agree on the deal? Why do you want to discuss business again? The previous business of purchasing medicinal herbs was related to purchasing medicinal herbs. It has nothing to do with this. Xiaochun waved her hand and said, actually, this is a business opportunity that I have just discovered. It will be beneficial to you too, CEO Lu. Oh, beneficial to me too? What kind of business is that? Tianli asked curiously. It's like this. I came here to sign a contract with your company, but I found another business opportunity at the same time. That is, our special cigarettes are very popular here. Many of my old friends have tried them and still want more. Mr. Lu, you have experienced it firsthand. How much do you think these cigarettes should be worth? Xiaochun asked. Me? Tianli paused. As long as it's not ridiculously expensive, I can accept it. After all, with my current status, I can afford even the most expensive cigarettes. Isn't that it? Mr. Lu, if that's what you think, then don't all my rich friends think the same? If I import these cigarettes in bulk, they should be very popular in the rich circle, right? Xiaochun said. It's not an exaggeration to say that the demand can't keep up with the supply. That's true. Mr. Lang, if you want to do this business, then I'm all for it. I will become one of your customers. Tianli said. Mr. Lu, I do want to do this business. That's right, but I want to work with you. Xiaochun said. As you know, my company has just signed an agreement with your company to purchase medicinal herbs. However, your company only paid a down payment. The full payment will only be made after we see the goods. However, my company has to pay a large amount of cash to purchase the medicinal herbs. Only after your company has settled the payment can we start to work again. In this way, my capital chain will be stretched. This is also the reason why I came to you. You should understand now, right? Lu Chunshun nodded and said, you know that my company has just signed an agreement with your company to purchase medicinal herbs. Oh, I understand, so that's how it is. Tianli nodded. What Mr. Lang said made sense. It was true that their company needed a large amount of cash to buy the herbs, but if they wanted to get their money back, they would have to settle the payment after the goods were delivered. That way, it was normal that they wouldn't have enough money to do other businesses. However, this was an industry he had never been in contact with before, and Tianli was the conservative type. He didn't have the spirit to expand, so he couldn't help but hesitate. Mr. Lu, this is a very promising business. Our Mr. Lang didn't look for anyone else but you. Actually, it's also because we're familiar with each other. Our two companies already have a cooperative relationship, and we trust each other even if we do anything else. Chui Mianshi spoke up suddenly. Oh, Tianli paused, and the hesitation in his eyes turned into decisiveness. But he didn't notice the change himself. Then how much profit is this cigarette business? 200%. Xiao Chun put up 2 fingers. Mr. Lu, if you invest 10 million, you'll get 20 million in return. That much. Tianli's eyes widened. He didn't expect money to come in so quickly. He was a little tempted, but he still asked, but importing tobacco would be troublesome, wouldn't it? The procedures and stuff like that would be very complicated. Even with my power, I don't think I can do it. Procedures for what? Xiao Chun waved her hand. How can there be such a huge profit if it's a legal import? Chapter 28-22. It's smuggling. Xiaochun said disapprovingly. I have my own channels. Otherwise, how do you think we got in with such a low price, Mr. Lu? If we go through the legal channels, we'll lose a lot of money with the tariffs. How are we going to make money then? So it's smuggling. Tianli's face changed instantly, his heart wavering. He didn't want to get involved in Mr. Lang's business anymore. Mr. Lu, we're just saying it casually, and you're just listening. We can't go back on our word once we leave. Chui Mianshi said. What Mr. Lang means is that you only need to invest, and then you don't have to worry about anything else. The contract we'll sign will be our company borrowing from your company, and we'll pay you back with high interest. That way, whatever we do will have nothing to do with you, Mr. Lu. You don't have to worry about anything. That's true. Tianli didn't know why, but he felt much better after hearing Chui Mianshi's words. He nodded. All right, we can work together then. How much do I need to invest? 30 to 50 million is enough for the initial stage, not too much. Xiaochun said. He was planning to cast a long line to catch a big fish, and naturally, he wouldn't use too much money to scare Tianli away. Although it would work with Chui Mianshi, it would make Lin Yi suspect that there was something wrong with it. It wouldn't look like a normal business scam then. Oh, it's not that much. Tianli nodded. All right, we'll sign the contract now, and I'll get the finance department to transfer the money to you. Straightforward. I knew Mr. Lu was a straightforward person, Xiaochun said and turned to Chui Mianshi. Assistant Chui, take out the contract and let Mr. Lu have a look. Yes, Mr. Lang. Chui Mianshi took out the prepared contract from his briefcase and passed it to Tianli. Tianli didn't have much of a pioneering spirit, but he was still a careful businessman. He looked at the contract carefully, and after finding no problems, he signed his name and told his secretary Zhang to go through the financial process. Mr. Lang, can I have the cigarettes now? My addiction. Tianli couldn't hold it in anymore. Haha, of course. Lil Chui, give it to Mr. Lu. Xiaochun said. All right, here you go, Mr. Lu. Chui Mianshi passed the cigarette to Tianli. Tianli, on the other hand, couldn't wait to open a pack of cigarettes and take one out, puffing out a cloud of smoke as he inhaled. Tianli's heart. Little Peach carefully knocked on the door of Heavenly Silkworm Transformation's room. These days, Heavenly Silkworm Transformation seemed to be in a bad mood. Except for the necessary tea and water, he didn't let Little Peach disturb him. Every day, besides reading books, he studied alchemy. He didn't care about anything else. Almost all the sect's matters were reported to Heavenly Elixir Sect Master Tianji Xing. In the past, Heavenly Silkworm Transformation handled it for him. Please come in the Heavenly Silkworm Transformation said. Young Sect Master, it's me, Little Peach. Little Peach pushed open the door and said, Young Sect Leader, there is something that the sect's Patriarch Xianjun wants to tell you. He wants you to make a trip there. Tian, I'll be right there. When the Heavenly Silkworm Transformation heard that Xianjun Patriarch was looking for him, he immediately put down the book in his hand and strode out of the room towards Xianjun Patriarch's temporary residence. Little Peach patted her chest. She didn't know why, but she felt an indescribable pressure when facing the young sect master these past few days. It was as if the young sect master had distanced himself from her a lot, but it didn't seem like it, because the young sect master didn't really like anyone. Guess who I am? While Little Peach pondered the question, someone covered her eyes with a hand. Startled, Little Peach hurriedly reached out to push Kong Tiandao away and said, Big Brother Kong, stop messing around. Haha, Little Peach Lil Sis, you guessed it right away. Kong Ming Ming said with a smile. What's wrong, Peach Lil Sis? You don't seem to be in a good mood? Kong Bro, the young master, doesn't seem to be in a good mood these days. He's distanced himself from me. Did I do something wrong? Little Peach's status in the Heavenly Elixir Sect was entirely because she was Tianli's maid. But without this identity, she was even worse than an ordinary disciple. How could she not be worried? No, the young master is quite polite to me. Kong Ming Ming was surprised. I feel that his attitude towards me is getting better and better. Is that so? Little Peach looked at Kong Ming Ming with a complicated expression. Could it be that the young master... Yeah. Kong Xiaoming nodded. Little Peach, sis, aren't you thinking too much? I think it must be because the Heavenly Elixir Sect's trial is not over yet. The young master is more worried about the results of this trial. He has been asking me if there are any trial takers who have returned successfully. He wants me to inform him as soon as possible. I see. Little Peach thought about it and agreed. It seemed that Tianli had been paying special attention to the results of the Heavenly Elixir Sect's trial recently. It was understandable that he was in a bad mood. Thinking of this, Little Peach felt relieved. Tianli quickly arrived at Patriarch Xianjun's courtyard. He knocked on the door and heard Patriarch Xianjun's deep and kind voice. Please come in. Tianli walked into the courtyard carefully and entered Patriarch Xianjun's room. He said respectfully, Master, I'm here. Tianli, you're here? Sit anywhere you like. Patriarch Xianjun pointed to a cushion not far away. Yes, Master. Tianli's real name was Tianli. He didn't have any objections to Patriarch Xianjun's way of addressing him. He sat respectfully opposite Patriarch Xianjun. Tianli, I heard that you haven't been in a good mood these few days. Patriarch Xianjun put down the book in his hand and looked at Tianli warmly. Master, I feel that I can't do it. The young master's job is so tiring. I'm not made for this. Tianli lowered his head and didn't dare look Patriarch Xianjun in the eye. I don't know when my sister will come back and if she can come back safely. Chapter 28-23. Master, Tianbian was a loss for words. He lowered his head and didn't know what to say. I don't want to do this, but I only like alchemy. I don't want to be the young head. I feel like it's a waste of time. Your sister, as a spy of the Five Elements sect, could have been the young head of the Heavenly Elixir sect for the rest of her life if she hadn't been used. But now that she's been used, it won't be long before she leaves. If you don't shoulder this responsibility, who will? Patriarch Xianjun said, You and your sister are rare geniuses in alchemy and martial arts. But look at your sister. Not only is she strong, her alchemy skills are no less than yours. She's also good at handling sect affairs. And look at you. Master, don't say any more. I understand. I will work hard. Tianbian's face turned red. He gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. He seemed to have made up his mind. Master, when my sister comes back, I will learn how to handle sect affairs from her. I won't let you and my sister down. That's right. Patriarch Xianjun nodded. All right, you're a smart person. There are many things you can understand with just a few words. I don't need to say more. You can go back now. Master, my sister. There's still no news. Tian Bien asked carefully. This is her master's order and also her responsibility. Although I don't want her to take the risk, I have no choice for the sect's future. Ancestor Xianjun stood up and said in a melancholic tone. He walked to Tian Bien's side and patted him on the shoulder. You are a man. You must learn to be strong. Even if your sister doesn't come back, don't be sad, because from now on, you are her. Yes. Tian Bien took a deep breath and nodded. Five Fiends Mountain Range. Although Lin Yi's second stage of the art of dragon mastery had reached great completion, he still needed some time to recover his true qi. Spring Rain, fifth form. Lin Yi had just recovered enough true qi to activate Spring Rain from the heavens once. So he quickly activated the incantation for Spring Rain from the heavens. Tian Chan only felt that her whole body was warm, and her physical strength quickly recovered. She could even feel that Lin Yi was sweating profusely behind her. Although Tian Chan was anxious, there was nothing she could do. She could not help at all. The only thing she could do was to carefully hold onto the cliff and prevent the two people from falling down. Otherwise, all the previous efforts would be in vain. When Tian Chan's physical strength and true qi were replenished, she quickly jumped up and once again urged the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm, and then used both her hands and feet to hit the cliff. However, just as Tian Chan's palms were about to hit the precipitous cliff, Tian Chan's gaze suddenly froze, and she cried out in surprise. This was because on the cliff where her right palm was about to hit, there was a protruding stone spike. This stone spike was exceptionally sharp. If this was just an ordinary stone spike, with Tian Chan's strength, she could easily smash it into pieces. However, the 5 Fiends Mountain Range was extremely hard. Even the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm couldn't do much to the precipitous cliff, only leaving a shallow mark. One could imagine how hard it was. Therefore, when Tian Chan saw the spike, she was shocked. However, it was too late for her to change direction. She could only bite the bullet and slap it. Puffed. Although the sound was not too loud, it made Tian Chan's heart tremble. She trembled in pain, and her right palm was pierced by the spike. At this moment, Tian Chan groaned in pain. It hurts. Lin Yi also saw the scene in front of him and couldn't help but frown. He didn't expect to encounter such an unlucky thing. He quickly asked, Tian Chan, are you okay? How can I be okay? It hurts so much. Tian Chan cried. You're sitting behind me and enjoying the fruits of others' labor, but I'm suffering in front. I'm not really enjoying the fruits of others' labor. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. In any case, he was also quickly circulating the mantra to restore his physical strength. I don't care, you have to help me heal it. Otherwise, I'll fall down. Anyway, when I fall down, you'll be below. I'll crush you to death. Tian Chan said, I can heal it, but you have to first pull out your palm and give it to me. I can't touch your skin, so I can't transfer my physical strength and qi to heal you. Lin Yi said, healing was different from the spring rain. The spring rain could transfer physical strength and qi without contact, but if healing couldn't be done, Lin Yi couldn't do anything. I can't. If I let go of one hand, I won't be able to hold the cliff. Both of us will fall down. Tian Chan said, can't you just find a place to transfer your physical strength and qi? I can, but you have to pull out your hand. Otherwise, there's a thorn in the middle of your palm. How can I heal it? Even if your palm is healed, there's still a thorn in the middle. You'll still be injured if you pull out. Lin Yi said, if that's the case, then can I pull out my hand and grab the thorn with my hand? Tian Chan asked. That's fine. Lin Yi said, that's fine. Tian Chan carefully endured the pain and pulled out her palm from the thorn. Even though she was a practitioner, the pain at the moment was unbearable. Previously, when she fought with the 5 Evils dragon, although she was injured more seriously, it didn't take long for her to faint. So, Tian Chan actually didn't suffer much pain. But now it was different. She could only endure it with a clear mind. But I don't have a place to start. Lin Yi looked around at Tian Chan's body. There was no place to touch her skin, and the two were tied together by the yellow silk. So Lin Yi's mobility was greatly limited. He wanted to touch Tian Chan's hand, but he couldn't quite reach it. He barely touched it. Lin Yi couldn't use the art of dragon mastery in this tense position. So Lin Yi was a little embarrassed. He didn't know what to do. No, you don't know how to find. Tian Chan was a little anxious. Hurry up, it hurts. I can't hold it anymore. If you don't heal me, I'll fall. Well, you forced me. Lin Yi was a little helpless. He gritted his teeth and reached out his hands to Tian Chan's chest. This was the only place that wasn't covered by clothes, and it was the easiest place for Lin Yi to touch. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.